say baseball's opening day is the day that hope springs eternal, when even the Chicago White Sox have not yet been eliminated from playoff contention. But it's not just baseball, it's not just the Milwaukee Brewers who are in the Bronx taking on the New York Yankees on this opening day that we have a little bit of hope in. It is also the conservative cause in the future of Wisconsin following an absolute blowout day of early voting in conservative counties that even I, who was telling you yesterday, was a little concerned about where we were. I have hope that maybe, just maybe, hope isn't lost, and Wisconsin and the rest of the country can be saved. We are also following some breaking news in that race. Conservative candidate Brad Schimel will be hosting a teletown hall at 6 p.m. Central Time this evening with none other than President Trump. There is a number that you can call in to be a part of that teletown hall. I am not sure exactly how the Schimel campaign is releasing that, so I am not going to be giving out that number. Best thing I can do is to direct you to Brad Schimel's social media or possibly the campaign website. I have not heard from the Schimel campaign about the details of this, but the President of the United States is going to be hosting this teletown hall in an effort to keep the momentum going. We also here on the Dan O'Donnell Show had by far, and I mean by far, our very best day in Wisconsin's largest early vote drive. By the time yesterday's show ended, we had 902 early votes logged in just the 3 hours between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. Then we had an additional 268 early votes today. Both of those numbers were by far the biggest we have had in the 7 days of the state's largest early vote drive. We had a total of 1,170 votes on day 7. That brings us to a 7-day All right, it appears we had a random EAS signal play just there, but we did have 7,348 early votes logged on day 7 of Wisconsin's largest early vote drive. A 7-day total, I should say, of 7,348, 1,049 early votes per day. Ladies and gentlemen, we are well on our way to our goal of logging 10,000 early votes by the time the early vote period ends. If you would like to take part, it is really very, very simple. All you need to do is get out there and early vote. I know a lot of your communities don't have the early vote hours anywhere near the early vote hours of Milwaukee or Madison or any of the other Democrat-controlled cities where it seems like early voting takes place constantly in the early voting period. But when those hours are available, take advantage of them. Once you do, shoot me a text, 414-799-1130 on the adventknows.com talk and text line. As of right now, just in the 3-4 minutes since we started today's show, we have gotten something like 35 different texts, all people telling me, and we average about roughly 2 early votes per text. It's mostly people telling me, Dan, my husband and I voted, my girlfriend and I voted, whatever it is. Sometimes we will get 7 early votes logged, which is our record. We had a couple of 5ers during yesterday's count, people saying that they brought 4 people with them or convinced 4 people to go and early vote. We love to hear that, especially since right now the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, doing its level best to help the Crawford campaign, has as its top story at jsonline.com what amounts to a panic piece. Nearly 500,000 voters have cast ballots ahead of Tuesday's pivotal spring election, when partisan control of the state's highest court is on the ballot. While the overall number of absentee ballots returned by mail or cast in person is similar to the number of votes cast during the same time period during the 2023 spring election, when the same stakes were on the ballot, the number of voters utilizing the state's in-person early voting option has increased 37%. Why do I say this is a panic piece designed to get liberals out there and vote? Because I'm willing to wager that a very strong percentage of that 37% are conservatives who have never before voted early, or perhaps voted early for the very first time in November. The piece continues. The counties with the highest number of early voters are, no surprise, Milwaukee, Waukesha, Dane, Washington, and Brown counties. Well, there is a little bit of a surprise in there. Milwaukee, Dane, and Brown shouldn't be considered surprises. The three biggest cities in the state are Milwaukee, Madison, and Green Bay, followed then by Racine and Kenosha. Racine and Kenosha counties are two of the five biggest counties as well. Waukesha and Washington especially. Washington County, and I will give all of the credit to the municipal clerks there, as well as the county clerk, Ashley Reichert, for dramatically increasing their hours of early voting. And while we're on the theme of baseball, if you open it, they will come. If you open up early voting, people will early vote. This is something that I and Mark Belling before me in this time slot have made our mission to try to get as many Republican city clerks as possible to have as many hours of early voting as possible. How do you think Milwaukee and especially Madison turn out just insane numbers of early voters? It's because they take advantage of every single second that they can possibly have early voting. Other communities need to do so. If the excuse is, well, that's just too much work, then, frankly, get another line of work. We will find any number of people in your municipality, in your county, who will do the job better than you and work harder than you will at providing the, not service, but the right that people have to vote in this state. The conservative-leaning Washington County, Journal-Sentinel reports, has experienced a massive 97% increase in early voting over 2023 data during the same time period, while GOP's stronghold of Waukesha County also has seen a large increase of 44% over the 2023 voting pattern. In the Democratic voting centers of Dane and Milwaukee, early voting has increased by 17.4% and 24%, respectively. Early voting in Brown County increased by 39%. Ladies and gentlemen, these are all incredible numbers. Dane County has only seen its early vote increase by 17%. Now, a lot of this has to do with the fact that people were already early voting in Dane. I will caution that right off the bat. What this might also suggest, however, that the modest 17% increase in early voting is who in Dane County? The 17% of conservatives who live there. Same thing with Milwaukee County. It's actually kind of remarkable. Milwaukee County is probably 75% Democrat. 24% are voting early for the first time, or they're voting early where they didn't in 2023. That might be the conservative faction that we have finally convinced to get out there and vote early. Nathan Trueblood, who is a longtime Republican Party operative, has done a great job in crunching the numbers each and every day on X. I would strongly suggest that you follow him. Just search for Nathan, last name Trueblood, Trueblood. Yes, like that old HBO show. Ballot returns have increased by 165,000 over 2023 statewide. The highest ballot return rates are all in red counties. Washington, 87.7%. Ozaukee, 84.4%. Waukesha, 82.9%. Racine, Sheboygan, Walworth, all up there. And this is a function of the fact that conservatives are getting out there for in-person early voting. When we say ballots returned, ballots can get mailed out to you. Well, you don't necessarily have to return them by any specific date, except, of course, Election Day. So there are a lot of ballots that are still outstanding. Well, when you vote absentee in person, you're getting the ballot and then you're returning the ballot all in one fell swoop. So it is only logical that where Republicans are really picking up the pace in terms of in-person early votes, that those ballot return rates would be huge. The biggest increases in terms of percentage of ballots returned over 2023 are all also in red counties. Washington has seen a net gain of 9,429 ballots. That is a 102% increase over 2023. What does this mean? The word has gotten out in Washington County. People are voting early, and they're voting early in huge numbers. And this actually jibes with what I'm hearing from the state's largest early vote drive. Folks, we don't pretend that these numbers are scientific. We don't pretend that you are able to conduct a poll based on the number of people who we have logging votes in the state's largest early vote drive. What I'm just trying to do with this, as I have been very clear about, is to try to drive the idea that when conservatives vote early, we win. When I publicize the idea of voting early, yes, I know, you are probably what's known as a high propensity voter. You vote no matter what. There are people who listen to me who don't. They are medium or lower propensity voters. Those voters tend to be younger. They tend to be people who maybe only will vote in presidential elections or midterm elections, who maybe only rarely vote in spring elections. If we get the word out to everybody, that means we're going to get a lot of medium and lower propensity voters, in addition to the massive haul of high propensity voters who will vote early. In addition to that, money and resources can be better spent in terms of door knocking, phone calls, and other forms of voter contacts to the people who haven't yet returned their ballots. Now, you might say, well, Dan, I early voted, but I'm still getting contacted. It's because the myvote.wi.gov site, it is the publicly available data from the Wisconsin Elections Commission, hasn't yet updated. That takes a little bit of time. You will still get messages, but not nearly enough. And this isn't to say that you're just never going to see another political ad or never going to get another political mailer. But what campaigns love about early voting is that your vote is already locked in. There doesn't need to be any sort of expense associated with getting you to vote because you already did. If we get enough medium and low propensity voters to log their vote, and folks, I saw the weather next week. It's looking snowy, rainy, cold, crappy all around. Wouldn't you like to not have to be dependent on what the weather is going to be like in Langlade County to determine whether Brad Schimel is going to be able to keep the state from going further into liberal lunacy, to keep Democrats from, as they have repeatedly promised, gerrymandering Wisconsin's congressional maps so they can effectively rig the 2026 midterms. I know I wouldn't like to quite literally throw my fate to the winds of winter. We'll be back on the Dan O'Donnell Show in just a second.
Conservative thought, not just talk.
You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Quiet down. Here she comes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
Breaking news tonight, President Donald Trump is officially weighing in.
Trump has endorsed Brad Schimel in the race for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Trump called the election, quote, very important.
And Trump's right.
If we elect Susan Crawford to the Supreme Court, none of the good that he's trying to do nationally will trickle down to Wisconsin.
Radical Susan Crawford supports banning voter ID, letting violent child rapists out of prison early, endangering Wisconsin families, and stands with those who allow boys in girls' sports.
I think the stakes have never been higher.
That's Trump's message to Wisconsin. This election is so important. Please get out and vote for Wisconsin's Brad Schimel. Stand with conservatives and support rule of law Brad Schimel for Supreme Court. Vote before or on Tuesday, April 1st for President Trump's pick for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Brad Schimel for Wisconsin.
I'm Brad Schimel, paid for by Schimel for Justice.
The wait is over. Brewers baseball is back. Time to pick your Brewers games and get back to the ballpark for tailgate traditions and walk-off wins. Be here for opening day. Come back for the big games and the best giveaways. Where else would you want to be? Brewers tickets for the 2025 season are on sale now. That's opening day and every game, all summer long. Get on board for the show today. Grab your seats at brewers.com/ticketfinder.
Whether you're on a commercial job site or tackling residential projects, support yourself and your crew with the AFS Advantage. AFS Advanced Fastening Supply is locally owned with a complete inventory of all the major brands of tools, fasteners, and safety equipment to make sure your job is done right and on time for all your projects throughout the year. Experience the AFS Advantage today. Advanced Fastening Supply on Doral Road in Waukesha or advancedfasteningsupply.com.
It's This Week with Annex Wealth Management. Dan O'Donnell alongside the CEO of Annex, Dave Spano. And this week, investors and the Fed both in a wait-and-see pattern with the deadline for tariffs to kick in April 2nd coming up very, very quickly, Dave.
Yeah, April 2nd is looming, and as you point out, investors in the Federal Reserve have been sitting on their hands to see what really happens, but Trump indicated earlier this week that he'll be more flexible on imposing them if there is progress on negotiations and a willingness of these other countries to come to the table to try to negotiate to avoid these tariffs. And, maybe it's not the White House, it's the Waffle House, but that's okay by me. The fact that people are really willing to come to the table and try to get this done. You think about there's 2 types of tariffs that are out there, Dan, and it's really these reciprocal tariffs, country by country, and sectoral tariffs, and those are pharma, auto, semis, and steel. He's using these as negotiations to go back and forth. If we make some progress and we get into the second quarter where we're going to have better empirical earnings and better analyst reports, you'll see the market get to a better mood.
Yeah, it certainly seems as though the president has long seen tariffs as a way to modify other countries' behavior, oftentimes on things completely independent from economics. And with the market sort of waiting and seeing what's going to happen in just a few scant days, it does appear that President Trump is backing off his initial tough talk on those tariffs. For Dave Spano, he is the CEO of Annex Wealth Management. I'm Dan O'Donnell. A reminder, head to annexwealth.com. You have been listening to This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the Annex Wealth Management Studios. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show, a teletown hall featuring Brad Schimel, conservative candidate for the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and the President of these United States, Donald Trump, set to begin at 6 o'clock Central Time. There is a phone number that people can call in to dial in to this teletown hall, and I have not yet heard from the Schimel campaign. I'm taking a wild guess. Well, I don't have access to my email, so if they're trying to email me, I would have no idea. I am, like with the Ark of the Covenant, assured that top men are on this. Did you hear that supposedly there is a document that the CIA used remote viewing to prove the existence of the Ark of the Covenant? Some of these unredacted CIA files, the Kennedy assassination files, are just getting a little ridiculous. Okay. In a remote viewing session on December 5th, 1988, remote viewer number 32. Okay, do you know what remote viewing is? ESP, extrasensory perception. It's sort of like the more credible terminology for ESP, or psychic abilities. In a remote viewing session, December 5th, 1988, remote viewer number 32 was tasked with identifying a target that, unbeknownst to them, ended up being the storied Ark of the Covenant, according to a document which was declassified August 8th, 2000, but recently began circulating on social media. This is my favorite genre that was from the New York Post, by the way. My favorite genre of reporting is people discovering things on social media for the first time. Like passing off some story that happened 10 years ago as being brand new, because the 22-year-olds who are currently on TikTok usually don't realize that something predates them. No, I don't want to get more into how the Ark of the Covenant. Suffice it to say, this is not the most serious research that the CIA has ever done. I still have no idea whether or not this document is genuine. This is the first I've heard of it as well. So I guess I really shouldn't talk, but it apparently did make news when it was first unsealed a quarter century ago. I don't need ESP to realize that Democrats are a little bit concerned about the fact that early voting appears to be surging in conservative counties. The thing that I have been concerned about and continue to be concerned about, even though my fantastic numbers guru, Joe Handrick, called me last night to take some issue with analysis done by Decision Desk HQ, which suggests that Schimel is a solid underdog in this race. And in fact, a poll that just came out has him down 8 of 500 likely voters. That seems like way too small of a sample size, and this is way too unpredictable of an electorate for that poll to make a whole lot of sense. Plus, who needs polls when we have actual voting data that is coming in? You don't need to guess at who's voting or what counties are voting or going to vote when you actually have information that suggests what counties are turning out. Those counties are all red counties. Well, Michael Pruser of Decision Desk HQ said yesterday that he was unconvinced that Schimel had a chance of winning, because he would need to convince 3 to 5% of Janet Protasewicz voters from 2023 to switch over to him, and that the numbers just needed to be much, much bigger, and he's not going to win. Well, Hendrick called me yesterday and said, look, I think this misses the boat a little bit. There were huge mayoral elections in all sorts of liberal big cities, Madison chief among them. You had a Green Bay mayor's election. You had a mayor's election in Racine, I believe also in Kenosha. This was juicing turnout in big liberal areas where conservative areas didn't have mayoral elections. In addition, this negates the possibility that there has, in fact, in the past 2 years, been a total vibe shift in the country that was reflected in Wisconsin in November, but might not have been reflected in early 2023. And that is that this country has gotten more conservative. Now, I have expressed the fear. So that's what Hendrick was saying. And if there is anybody who understands voter demographics, shifts, or anything other numbers related, it is Joe Hendrick. Joe Hendrick is quite simply the best numbers guy in the state of Wisconsin. I trust him more than any other human being when it comes down to breaking down data. And he says, look, Schimel not only can win this, Schimel might actually be a slight favorite right now. I still think the institutional advantage goes to Crawford. In fact, I was just on Newsmax about an hour and a half ago saying exactly this. When you have a party that loses as badly as Democrats did just a couple of months ago in November, that party tends to get very motivated, whereas the party that just had a big win, Republicans, tend to get apathetic. The party that's motivated, the party that's angry, the party that may at a national level be leaderless and in disarray, at a local, statewide level, can still turn out votes based just on the motivating factor of that anger alone. And if conservatives are apathetic, and one thing that I've been very worried about is what I'm terming the Trump effect, which means that Trump gets a whole lot of votes from only Trump voters, voters who aren't going to show up for any race where Trump isn't on the ballot. If that happens, Brad Schimel can't possibly win. This is why it's so important to get people out there, especially those only Trump voters, especially in the exurban areas, especially in the rural areas of conservative, very conservative counties, especially in the areas that, frankly, are away from the reach of this program. We're on in Milwaukee. We're on in Madison. We reach a whole ton of people. And we thank each and every one of you. Our ratings are incredibly, incredibly strong. We're the biggest afternoon show in both markets by a pretty significant margin. But there are tons of areas that this show just doesn't reach. And wouldn't you know it, I'm not saying it's the awesome power of Dan O'Donnell, but it's the fact that there just isn't any conservative messaging on state issues or state elections to counter in the northwest part of the state. They're in the Minneapolis, Minnesota news market. You think Milwaukee or Madison news is slanted? Minneapolis is slanted, and they're not going to focus on a Wisconsin Supreme Court race like this program is. They're not going to be focused on giving you a conservative perspective. And as a result, there are people who would otherwise be conservative and might actually be very conservative because they still get Fox News, they still get Newsmax, but they aren't getting the information on local and state issues that they are in the Milwaukee and Madison media markets because of shows like this one. Ben Yount, too, Jay Weber, obviously, Vicki McKenna, in central Wisconsin, Meg Ellefson. But there are all sorts of parts of the state where there might be voters who are susceptible to this false notion that Susan Crawford was ever a prosecutor, that she's tough on crime, that she's anything but a far-left liberal hack. A Milwaukee alderman takes a stand against littering and immediately and hilariously regrets it. That story coming up next here on The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Freedom, liberty, and justice aren't gifts that magically appear and take hold. Instead, they are privileges that must be nurtured and defended. Citizens exercise this responsibility through their vote. Wisconsin is in the midst of an impactful spring election period, including a critical race for a seat on the state Supreme Court. Early voting is taking place right now, and you are urged to take advantage and cast your vote now. A message from the WISN Vote Early Project. Don't wait. Make your voice heard.
Dan O'Donnell here for Mander Collision and Glass, now with 7 locations to serve you in Waukesha, Milwaukee, Muskego, Brookfield, Heartland, Cedarburg, and their Waukesha Fleet and Specialty location. If you have a business with a multi-vehicle fleet, Mander is the place to go because their team understands you can't have a vehicle out of service for a while, so they work quickly and efficiently to get you back on the road and serving your customers as fast as possible through expedited fleet repairs. Mander has been serving their customers and their community for well over 20 years, and they know that the key is expert workmanship and fast turnaround times combined with the sort of customer service that you'll only find at a family-owned local business like Mander. Start your repair today at mandercollision.com and find out for yourself why Mander truly is your best decision after a collision.
Panic strikes as you realize on Wednesday that Thursday is your anniversary. The reservations being secured.
We'll see you at 8.
The gift being purchased. Yeah, you've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with early pay up to 2 days early on direct deposits. So even though they call you Last Minute Lisa, we'll make your last minute scrambling a bit easier. You've got this with early pay from Associated Bank. See associatedbank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
I'm Josh Parks, owner of Infinity Exteriors. 9 out of 10. Brand new roofs can't pass a simple manufacturer warranty inspection. Every Infinity roof does.
MJ, Josh's partner here, protecting homeowners for decades to come, always installing roofs, siding, and windows to better than manufacturer warranty specifications is how we built Infinity to the most successful exterior remodeling company in the Midwest.
It's your home, it's your roof. With Infinity, it's all about you.
Infinity passes on buying power no other roofer has, saving you money.
Infinity provides absolute transparency in pricing with our proprietary app, showing exactly what Infinity is going to do and exactly what everything will cost line by line, real time.
No waiting 3 days to a week for a quote.
If you like what you see,
and you will,
Infinity can schedule your new roof, siding, or windows, including financing, right there in your home. No hassle, no waiting.
Warranted, guaranteed quality. Installing peace of mind. InfinityRoofing.com.
That's InfinityRoofing.com.
It's This Week with Annex Wealth Management. Dan O'Donnell alongside the CEO of Annex, Dave Spano. And this week, investors and the Fed both in a wait-and-see pattern with the deadline for tariffs to kick in. April 2nd coming up very, very quickly, Dave.
Yeah, April 2nd is looming, and as you point out, investors in the Federal Reserve have been sitting on their hands to see what really happens, but Trump indicated earlier this week that he'll be more flexible on them if there is progress on negotiations and a willingness of these other countries to come to the table to try to negotiate to avoid these tariffs. And, maybe it's not the White House, it's the Waffle House, but that's okay by me. The fact that people are really willing to come to the table and try to get this done. You think about there's 2 types of tariffs that are out there, Dan, and it's really these reciprocal tariffs, country by country, and sectoral tariffs, and those are pharma, auto, semis, and steel. He's using these as negotiations to go back and forth. If we make some progress and we get into the second quarter where we're going to have better empirical earnings and better analyst reports, you'll see the market get to a better mood.
Yeah, it certainly seems as though the president has long seen tariffs as a way to modify other countries' behavior, oftentimes on things completely independent from economics. And with the market sort of waiting and seeing what's going to happen in just a few scant days, it does appear that President Trump is backing off his initial tough talk on those tariffs. For Dave Spano, he is the CEO of Annex Wealth Management. I'm Dan O'Donnell. reminder, head to annexwealth.com. You have been listening to This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
When selling a home, do you need to pay the buyer's agent a commission? This is Paul Leby with Lake Country Flat Fee. That's been a popular question recently, and the answer to that is no, you do not. You can choose to offer a commission to the buyer's agent, or that could be negotiated as part of the offer to purchase. When you sell with us, you control what gets paid to any buyer's agent. Our sellers save about 50% versus a traditional 6% broker. To learn more or to schedule a free market analysis, visit our website at lakecountryflatfee.com.
Get ready as iHeartRadio teams up with the ultimate countdown king.
It's Rick Dees, and here's this week's number one hit.
iHeartRadio and the Rick Dees Weekly Top 40 with 2 exclusive channels.
Catch this week's biggest hits as we count down to number one.
Listen to this week's biggest songs with Rick Dees and the Weekly Top 40.
Then you can hear all of my legendary countdowns from way back, all commercial free.
It's the soundtrack of your life.
Search me, Rick Dees, on your free iHeartRadio app and listen now.
This hour of the Dan O'Donnell Show is presented by the WISN Vote Early Project. Make your voice heard now. Early voting is open. Contact your municipal clerk for details. Don't wait. Make your voice heard.
An update on the state's largest early vote drive here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Here is just a very small sample of the texts that we have gotten over the past 42 minutes we've been on the air, because we have gotten, I think, easily 150 to 200 texts just in the last half hour. Hey, Dan, Rick here. My wife and I early voted in Caledonia. Let's bring it home for common sense. DOD, my 18-year-old daughter and I just voted at about 3:15 in the city of Burlington. No line, but steady flow of voters while I was there. Voted in the village of Pewaukee today for Brad, Brittany, and yes on the constitutional amendment. Thanks for all you're doing, Dan. I voted in Random Lake today. Let's go. 2 votes in Vernon from the Wise Guys. Just voted early, left my wife home because she's a liberal. Good man, even if you might be headed for divorce court. And finally, Nick the Construction Guru, who you hear on WISN. Great friend to the program, personal friend Nick Kersner texted me to let me know he and Lynn voted. Also added, thanks for working so hard on this. No Nick, no Lynn, no everybody, thank you for taking it as seriously as you do. My middle son and I were in Milwaukee on the way to, we had to stop at a Menards, and we were on our way to the indoor soccer facility at about 76th and Good Hope, Eline Soccer. We were playing some indoor soccer, and we needed to stop at Menards to pick something up, and we were driving in, and my son noticed immediately all of the litter on the side of the road. Everywhere. Just trash everywhere. This was the Menards near Northridge. And is it just me, or is it taking an inordinate amount of time to tear down that mall? I don't. Right, Paul. It is taking. It's taking more time to tear down a mall than it would be to build a mall. But my son, 14 years old, said, Dad, why is there so much trash here? Do you know who else noticed this? Milwaukee Alderman Lamont Westmoreland. He put out a press release a couple of days ago. Spring is here, and so is the trash. With the snow finally melted and the temperatures starting to climb, spring is officially upon us. Unfortunately, so is the annual reminder of just how selfish and disrespectful some people can be, treating our city like their personal garbage can. I've never seen certain parts of Milwaukee filthier. This is the time of year when community groups all across Milwaukee start organizing cleanups. I respect the hell out of these groups and truly applaud their efforts because it's absolutely needed. But at the same time, we need to start moving toward a point where these groups can direct their time and energy toward beautification and meaningful neighborhood projects, not just picking up after lazy and thoughtless individuals who don't care about the spaces we all share. And yes, I've already seen the same mess making its annual appearances. The wigs, often mistaken for roadkill, the empty black and mild packaging, the empty fast food food bags, Milwaukee's best beer cans, empty Hennessy bottles, chip bags, and everything else in between. I've seen dirty diapers being thrown from the windows of moving vehicles. Outright shameful and embarrassing. This is fantastic. Just a fantastic press release. Yes, wigs are being mistaken for roadkill. It's quite the hairdo. There's no reason why one side of Milwaukee can be clean and well kept while another looks like a dark cloud carrying litter rolled through and dropped trash instead of rain. We all have a role to play in respecting our neighborhoods. As I did last year, I'm once again asking that MPD, when possible, strictly enforce Milwaukee's litter ordinance. It's a $500 fine each time, and frankly, the city could use the money. If you're out here treating the streets like your personal dump site, it's past time for you to clean up your behavior. For the sake of our environment, our neighbors, our community's growth, and just plain human decency. If not, don't be surprised when that $500 fine comes your way, and trust me, it'll hit harder than the tumbleweave, see definition below, blowing down the block. Tumbleweave. Stray, often synthetic hair like weaves or wigs that is driven by the wind and can be found on sidewalks and streets in urban areas. Now, Lamont Westmoreland almost became my single favorite Milwaukee alderman, because that is one of the best written press releases I have ever seen. I said he almost became my favorite alderman. Why do you suppose there was massive backlash against his press release? Because it was racist. Westmoreland is black, but he seemed to be putting the blame squarely on Milwaukee's black community. Now, it is not lost on me that what he's talking about is that downtown is incredibly clean, impeccably clean, or at least as big cities go, whereas the north side of the city, which is the predominantly black area of town, is filthy. And he made express reference. Black women wear wigs and weaves at much higher rates than other races. The tumble weave is a wig. I'm thinking, do women get rid of, because it seems to me like a wig would be expensive, or are they opening their windows or on motorcycles and they just fly right off the head? Because in that case, it's hilarious. That would be just I'm sorry, it is hilarious if all of a sudden your hair just goes off in the wind. But he made reference to Milwaukee's best empty Hennessy bottles. Hennessy is, if you've ever listened to rap music, there are a lot of references to Hennessy. It is a stereotypical black liquor. I am a white man. I love Hennessy. Love Hennessy. By the way, Paul, please don't forget to remind me. We've got to get to, I got a gift. It wasn't Hennessy left for me after yesterday's show, which might have been the most sincere, nicest things I've ever gotten. I also got a prayer candle, which, no lie, made me laugh out loud uproariously when I saw it when I got in today. All right, do not let me forget about it before this show is over. Yesterday, Lamont Westmoreland totally backtracked on his press release with another press release entitled, "I missed the mark, but not this mission." Let me be clear, he writes, "My frustration about the growing litter problem in our city comes from a place of deep love and pride for Milwaukee. The litter is not who we are. We are better than this. Collectively, we all have a role to play in keeping our city clean and looking its best. Unfortunately, what I see across our city feels like a situation spiraling out of control. It's becoming the norm, and I refuse to sit back in silence while that happens. I won't look the other way, even if others choose to. If any of my words caused offense, I truly apologize. That was never my intention. My comments were not about attacking any group of people. They were about calling out a behavior that is hurting all of us. Also, let me clarify. The $500 littering citation I referenced has been on the books long before I ever took office. I was simply reminding folks that if you're caught in the act, you can be fined. That's the law. My passion frustration may have spilled over, but it's because I know Milwaukee can do better, and I'm committed to doing my part to help us get there. Alderman Westmoreland, if you are not going to call out what you clearly see is a littering problem in the black community, who will? This is a fundamental problem that we have in society, that if there is a problem on a particular side of town, how do we know? I don't know who's littering. I can't just assume it's a bunch of black people throwing their stuff. It could be my son and I live far away from there. Poor guy, he's on his way to his soccer game. His wig flies right off his head onto the street. Oh, who am I kidding? It was my wig. I wanted to look my best while I was coaching. So I had a nice blonde wig. Doing my my makeup in the mirror like Buffalo Bill. Me. No, I wasn't saying that. Could have been us. Could have been who said, okay, Hennessy and Weaves. Yes, all right. He's talking to. There is a massive problem in the black community, not just with littering, but with dysfunction and violation of society's norms. And that spills out of control, and it has been out of control when it comes to violent crime. If even fellow black aldermen are terrified by the prospect of being labeled a racist for pointing that out, how are any of these apparently deep-seated problems going to stop? How can we ever begin to correct it if you can't say, hey, I live in this neighborhood too, and it would be really nice if people would stop throwing crap all over the side of the streets? You can see where the toxicity of the liberal mindset, of the just woke defensive position of constantly calling any sort of criticism racist, rears its ugly head. There's no indication other than the fact that it is a predominantly black area of town. And yes, by the way, it is not lost on me that the single most segregated city in the United States has been represented by Democrats since 1908. You want to talk about baseball's opening day? The Chicago Cubs won a World Series before Milwaukee elected another Republican mayor. Can you believe that? We have had 3 socialists since the last Republican mayor of Milwaukee. What's it got us? Segregated neighborhoods and apparently filthy streets. And tumbleweaves. That, by the way, is fantastic. You're driving down Capitol Drive. Wah, wah, wah. You see a bright pink weave making its way. This town ain't big enough for the 2 of us. Of course I'm going to get the emails. You know what? But I don't care. Yeah, primarily because I can't see them because I'm locked out of my email account. But no, I don't care. All right. Do you know why? Because I am not afraid to call out what is undeniably true. Plus, the libs are going to call me a racist anyway, so what the hell do I care about that? All right, we're going to take a break a little bit early because, I went off. You know what? Should we open up the phone lines on this? I think we should. 414-799-1130. That is our adventknows.com talk and text line. You can also reach us toll free, 1-888-948-9476. Milwaukee, Madison, litter, and societal dysfunction. I've got an interesting theory that actually sort of captures all of this when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns.
from the Lynch GM Superstore in Burlington Total Traffic Center.
Southbound on 4145, slow from Silver Spring to past Capitol. Southbound 43 from Keefe down to the Marquette. Down to 4394 in pockets down to the KK River Bridge. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com, and we sell custom blinds, shades, and shutters at low prices. Our blinds are handcrafted to fit your windows, and if they don't, for any reason, we'll remake them for free. Your satisfaction is always guaranteed at Blindster.com.
Breaking news tonight, President Donald Trump is officially weighing in. Trump has endorsed Brad Schimel in the race for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Trump called the election, quote, very important.
And Trump's right.
If we elect Susan Crawford to the Supreme Court, none of the good that he's trying to do nationally will trickle down to Wisconsin.
Radical Susan Crawford supports banning voter ID, letting violent child rapists out of prison early, endangering Wisconsin families, and stands with those who allow boys in girls' sports.
I think the stakes have never been higher.
That's Trump's message to Wisconsin. This election is so important. Please get out and vote for Wisconsin's Brad Schimel. Stand with conservatives and support rule of law Brad Schimel for Supreme Court. Vote before or on Tuesday, April 1st for President Trump's pick for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Brad Schimel for Wisconsin.
I'm Brad Schimel, paid for by Schimel for Justice.
What can Everlast Structures do for us?
The neighbors had Everlast build a hobby building for them. John said they designed the building so that their camper and boat will fit inside, and enough room inside that his wife has an office space incorporated into the design. They went with a climate control package and have heated concrete floors. There's even a bathroom in their building.
With all that extra space, we can finally get organized.
I'll give Everlast Structures a call right now.
Need more storage, a place for your hobbies, or a year-round climate-controlled building? We are Wisconsin's top post-frame builder with over 15 years of experience in post-frame and residential construction. Now serving northern Wisconsin as well. Call our Wausau office for more information. Our expertise lies in designing, supplying, and building your project seamlessly. We listen to our customers, understanding their goals and requirements while thinking about the future. From design to build, we ensure your project is seamless. Our post-frame structures are designed to enhance and built to endure. Call today to start your dream build with Everlast Structures.
While most other furniture finishers restore wood furniture using high-pressure water to remove old lacquer and varnish, we only use a chemical solvent. Because when you use water, it will eventually raise the grain, loosen glue joints, and lift veneer. So if you have something really special that you'd like to restore, call us. For the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. Mullally finishing.com. If you want your restored antique piece to remain primitive, no problem. Maybe you want to restore it to as good as new condition. We can do that. The way we work is based solely on what your needs are. And that seems to make the process of restoring your unique piece almost always a positive one. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. Mullally finishing.com.
If you're someone who's experiencing shoulder, spine, hip, knee, or musculoskeletal pain and a total joint replacement might be in your future, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Their physicians specialize in same-day total joint replacements at their own ambulatory surgery center. See orthowisconsin.com.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
Fox on Tech.
What if your iPhone worked with Windows? Many Apple fanatics would probably scoff at the idea, but Microsoft is unveiling a new feature that links up one's iPhone with one's Windows PC. It works similarly to the integration unveiled last year between Windows and Android phones. For those beta testers and developers who already have access to the feature, they can now see their phone's battery status and even access messages and calls right from a side panel on the Windows 11 Start menu. Microsoft's blog has screenshots of it in action. And with this integration comes the ability to share files between the phone and the Windows PC using the Send Files option in the Windows commands. It will work with most Windows 11 PCs as long as it is signed into a Microsoft account and has Bluetooth capabilities. It will not work on PCs running Windows with educational licenses. With Fox on Tech, I'm Eben Brown, Fox News.
Listen to Sean Hannity, weekday evenings 6 to 9 on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee. And make WISN the number one preset on your car radio and on the new iHeart app. Free never sounded so good.
With news on WISN, I'm Raymond Newport. President Donald Trump announcing a 25% tariff on imported cars to start April 2nd. That could push up new car prices across the board. Milwaukee police investigating a fatal shooting outside of a church. The pastor of the church describing it as a man defending his children from an attacker. And Aurora Healthcare is lifting its mask requirements to put those in place earlier this year due to an outbreak in respiratory illnesses. Business news brought to you by the Good Feet store. Closing Wall Street numbers, the Dow down to 42,300, the S&P 500 at 5693. Checking the holiday automotive of Fond du Lac Sports scoreboard, the Brewers are in action for opening day against the Yankees today. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Raymond Newport on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Here's the latest forecast presented by AdventKnows.com from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Drying out this afternoon with temperatures climbing into the low and middle 50s. Another chance for showers and a few thunderstorms late tonight into Friday morning. Then windy and much warmer with highs in the 60s and 70s. Rain returns Saturday. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Stephanie Barrichello.
This report is sponsored by Jackson Hewitt. It matters who does your taxes. At Jackson Hewitt, expert tax prep is now $149 or less, but only for a limited time. Hurry, book your appointment at jacksonhewitt.com today. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/49-149.
Quiet down, here she comes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
He's Donald Trump's right-hand man, Elon Musk. And now Musk is trying to buy Brad Schimel a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Because Musk knows when you buy Schimel, he'll do whatever you want. Like when Schimel gave a plea deal to a man caught with child porn, after the man's lawyer gave Schimel thousands of dollars. And Schimel will ban abortion, with no exceptions for rape, incest, or the health of the mother. Deeply corrupt and totally extreme. That's the real Brad Schimel. There's a better choice.
I'm Judge Susan Crawford. As a former prosecutor and now as a judge, I've made sure rapists, murderers, and child predators were behind bars.
Protecting your family and your most basic rights. That's Judge Susan Crawford.
And I trust women to make their own healthcare decisions. Brad Schimel doesn't, but I always will.
So on April 1st, vote for Judge Susan Crawford, Supreme Court. Paid for by Susan Crawford for Wisconsin.
I'm Larry Brinkman, president of Dornbrook Construction. Dornbrook Construction has installed concrete in every industrial and commercial setting from the Milwaukee Airport to Campbell's Soup. From big shots in manufacturing and industry, locally as well as the up-and-coming businesses in southeastern Wisconsin. Big business chooses Dornbrook because they know Dornbrook is ACI certified, fully licensed, insured, and bonded. And they know for 25 years, Dornbrook stands behind every square foot of concrete we install. Little businesses choose Dornbrook for all those reasons and also because they can afford to choose Dornbrook. Dornbrook is industry's choice for commercial concrete because we do perfect business efficiency-minded preparation and installation on every job. We know you aren't closing your business to have concrete work done. 25 years of experience ensures your loading dock or dumpster pad or machine base or huge flat concrete job isn't our first go-round. Standing behind the concrete Wisconsin businesses and residents stand on, Dornbrook Construction. DornbrookConstruction.com. 414-333-0642.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368.
At Wisconsin's own Accunet Mortgage, our closing costs are typically $1,000 to $3,000 less than the banks or the mortgage guys with the Rocket for exactly the same rate. Find out how much you can save at ACCUNET.com.
Please, please, please. Hear that? That's shady Brad Schimel on his knees begging for money from wealthy billionaires who want to buy Wisconsin's Supreme Court.
I have to crawl around begging people.
And the more Brad Schimel begs,
please, please, please,
the more they shell out. Because everyone knows shady Brad Schimel is for sale.
I have to crawl around begging people.
After all, Schimel cut a crooked plea deal with a man caught with child pornography after his lawyer gave Schimel thousands in campaign cash. What could have been a 25-year sentence was dropped to just 3 years for that sick predator. So it's no wonder billionaires want shady Brad Schimel on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. They've seen Schimel help his campaign donors, just like he did for that criminal's lawyer.
I have to invest in knee pads.
Brad Schimel, if you're listening, get up off your knees. You're embarrassing yourself. Paid for by the Justice Project.
Please, please, please.
Not authorized by any candidate or candidate's agent or committee.
Please, please, please.
Welcome back, Dan O'Donnell Show. Coming up in about 15 minutes or so, your daily Trump Day to look at all things going on in the federal government, the White House, and much, much more. The arrest of a top MS-13 gang member, the withdrawal of Elise Stefanik's nomination as UN ambassador, and more. It is a brand new segment we just launched on Monday. It is a 5 to 10 minute news in brief of all of the things that the Trump administration and President Trump himself have been doing while you were at work. Coming up also, we will bring you the unhinged liberal of the day, as well as the unsung hero of the day. Forgotten history also coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. It is a jam-packed Dan O'Donnell Show. Before we get to any of that, though, an update on the state's largest early vote drive. I would say we are now averaging probably 3.5 texts per minute of people telling me that they have early voted. Here's one: town of Cedarburg, 2 votes, voted Schimel and Kinzer. And yes, that comes from Dan in Wauwatosa. Dan, my wife, and I voted today in Madison. And we have got a very special message from my son's girlfriend's parents, who let me know, along with a nice picture, that they voted. And her father said, "I'm thinking about buying a Tesla just to piss some people off. Go Brew Crew." They are decked out in their Brewers' best on this opening day of Major League Baseball's season. The Brewers are in New York to take on the Yankees, bottom of the 6th. The Yankees are up 2-1. It's still, I'm not sure how much I like every single series or every single weekend. There's always interleague play, is what I'm trying to say. It used to be something special, right? I'm old enough to remember when interleague play was first introduced. I'm old enough to remember when only 2 teams made baseball's playoffs. Remember that? Before the wild card 1992 season, where the Brewers won 90-some games, but because they were just a couple of games behind a very, very good, who was it that made it over the Brewers that year in the American League East? No, this was before the Brewers moved to the National League. And Bud Selig, then the acting commissioner of baseball, saw this and said, hey, wait a second. It was his team that was getting screwed out of a playoff appearance. It was Toronto. That was it. The Toronto Blue Jays. It was a great pennant chase. And the Blue Jays ended up winning the first of 2 World Series. I'm not sure if that was the year Joe Carter hit the World Series winning home run. First and only time that has ever happened. Blue Jays became the first non-American team to win the World Series. But after that, I believe starting in the 95 season following the strike, baseball moved to 3 divisions, East, West, and Central, and then added a wild card that has since expanded. But it was a big thing. Remember the first time the White Sox played the Cubs, the Mets played the Yankees. It was just very cool. And now, because of expansion and because of the Brewers and Houston Astros switching leagues, and because there's an odd number of teams in one of the leagues, there needs to be interleague play every single week. Every time there is a baseball game scheduled, somebody is going to be playing interleague. I mean, I'm used to it, obviously. I think baseball has done a tremendous job expanding the playoffs, even though the Brewers have not been able to get out of the first round. I know hope springs eternal. That's sort of been the theme of today's show. I'm not sure how I feel about the Brewers this season. 414-799-1130 if you would like to join the Dan O'Donnell Show. You can also reach us toll-free, 1-800-838-9476. Milwaukee Alderman Lamont Westmoreland had a very funny, very biting, and some might say racially charged press release on littering. Now, nobody in Milwaukee, it seems, cared about the fact that there is a mountain of trash that appears every time the snow melts each spring, but they really cared that Westmoreland, who is himself black, appeared to be singling out black people for the littering. I've already seen the same mess making its annual appearance, he writes. The wigs, often mistaken for roadkill. The empty black and mild packaging. The empty fast food bags, Milwaukee's best beer cans, empty Hennessy bottles, chip bags, and everything else in between. I've seen dirty diapers being thrown from the windows of moving vehicles, outright shameful and embarrassing. There's no reason why one side of Milwaukee can be clean and well kept, while another looks like a dark cloud carrying litter rolled through and dropped trash instead of rain. We all have a role to play in respecting our neighborhoods. He then said, if you don't comply with this, if you don't want to make Milwaukee cleaner, don't be surprised when that $500 fine comes your way. And trust me, it'll hit harder than that tumbleweave, see definition below, blowing down the block. Tumbleweave, stray, often synthetic hair like weaves or wigs that is driven by the wind and can be found on sidewalks and streets in urban areas. What he is doing is laying the blame right at the feet of people in Milwaukee. Not racism, not structural inequity, on laziness, on disrespect, and on rude and what he says outright shameful behavior. Well, he himself was shamed into a mea culpa. 2 days after issuing that press release, he issued a follow-up. I missed the mark, but not this mission. If any of my recent words caused offense, I truly apologize. That was never my intention. My comments were not about attacking any group of people. They were about calling out a behavior that is hurting all of us. My passion may have spilled over, but it's because I know Milwaukee can do better, and I'm committed to doing my part to help us get there. If you can't even call out people for littering, what hope do we have of solving a problem like homicide, like victimization of violent crime that targets black Milwaukeeans and black Americans at a massively disproportional rate? I'm not talking about the racial component of criminality. I'm talking about the racial component of criminal victimization, because quite frankly, I don't care about who it is that's committing the crimes. What I care about is protecting the people who are the victims of crimes. And what I know is black people who are innocent, who are law-abiding, and who just want to live their lives free of the insanity that has been allowed to go up around them, are the victims of crime at a much higher level than any other race. It has always struck me as tremendously unfair that my kids and all the kids I'm coaching in soccer and all the kids I've gotten to know in our very clean, very pristine, very crime-free community don't ever have to worry about the same sort of thing that other little kids in parts of Milwaukee have to worry about. Why is that? A big reason is because when people like Lamont Westmoreland finally say enough is enough and start blaming the actual perpetrators of whether it's littering or whether it's homicide, you've got an entire industry that has sprung up and is thriving on the woke left that will smack Lamont Westmoreland down. How dare you localize the localized problem? How dare you even suggest that people are responsible for their own actions? How dare you suggest that throwing an empty McDonald's bag out your car window is the fault of anyone or anything except white racism? That, in effect, is what Lamont Westmoreland himself fell victim to. You can't even suggest that there is a problem that doesn't stem from white racism. Do you have any idea how asinine that is? Do you have any idea how far backwards that set not only American race relations, but America's crime rate? This notion that somehow people don't have individual responsibility for their own actions, that they are instead powerless to fight against the current of racism and structural inequity. Do you know, when you take away that autonomy, when you take away that personhood, when you take away the inability to overcome that, you're about as racist as it gets. Well, this person happens to be a specific skin color. They couldn't possibly get ahead in racist America. Why not? Seriously, why the hell not? Let's take some phone calls, shall we? Let's take Greg out in Merton. You're up first on the Dan O'Donnell Show. What's going on, Greg?
Hey, thanks. Thanks for taking my call. You know, this infuriates me. This all started out long ago, the city of Milwaukee problem, and the fact that Lamont stepped up and actually issued that first statement and then backed down on it.
Yeah.
And
you know exactly why he backed down on it. Yeah.
Well, absolutely. And I can tell you, I mean, the prior aldermen in that area, Puente and Lewis, they didn't do diddly squat. I started working up in that area, Milwaukee, in 2020. I worked 25 years up there, and every year it got worse and worse and worse. And now, I'm not suggesting the city of Milwaukee has to come up there and clean it up, but, you know, Lamont didn't actually offer any solutions except trying to call out
he did.
residents.
No, he did. He said, okay, I want the city of Milwaukee to crack down to have the Milwaukee Police Department. And bless his heart, he thinks that the people who are throwing out their weaves out the side of a car are going to pay a $500 fine for doing so. But that's the solution. That's really the only thing that can be done, right? Go ahead, please.
They should add then District 4 up there, MPD, you know, then get some more officers up there. Actually, maybe they'd actually try and
Oh, but Greg, if you think an alderman calling out the littering is racist, wait until Milwaukee police officers start handing out fines for littering. We would have stories in the Journal Sentinel about the percent. Way more black people are getting littering tickets than white people. Here's why that is an example of America's structural racism. Now, this would be great for me because it would be more fodder for America's favorite game show, Guess What's Racist? But you see the problem here. We have got a media industrial complex working hand in hand with, now we're on about the third generation of race hustlers who have made more money than ever before peddling the idea that everything and anything is racist, which has the unfortunate side effect of inoculating bad, socially dysfunctional behavior from any sort of criticism, let alone remedy. There is actually a theory that helps to explain all of this. Do you know what it is? I'll give you a hint. You put one away in the parking lot every time you go shopping. Or maybe you don't. And that's the theory. We'll explain when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns. After that, Daily Trump Date.
Incidents either side of 94 at Brookfield Road out in Waukesha County. Your eastbound delay starting back at Highway F and your westbound delay starting back at Sunny Slope. I'm Kevin Henry, and that's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Hupy and Abraham. The winner it's free guarantee. Hupy.com.
If you want all the money you deserve, remember the name Hupy and Abraham.
I would give them a lot of stars.
More than a 5-star rating if it was possible.
If I could, I would give them 6.
Call Hupy and Abraham. 800-800-5678. Or go to Hupy.com right now.
Bob built a brand over the same 20 years iNet has. I bought multiple properties over those years. Bob gets real estate like I never will.
In real estate, every brokerage does the same thing. MLS. Adding auction bidding to MLS, I knew if iNet branded it, told our story, home sellers would understand and accept this real estate revolutionizing platform.
You can be the best in your industry like Redefined Realty is. Even revolutionize your industry like Redefined Realty has with auction. Yet, it's your story that sells.
You can't tell your story as well as iNet Creative Genius will tell your story.
Real estate for winners is exactly what Redefined Realty and auction has always been.
Steven knocked our brand and marketing out of the park.
Selling a home? If you don't use Redefine's MLS and auction platform, you'll leave closing with less money than you would have. Tragic and that simple.
Websites, branding, design, video, and radio. iNet is improving marketing for winners.
iNetJustWeb.com.
CreativeGeniusMarketing.com.
Real estate for winners. RedefinedRealty.com.
Increasing number of homicides, non-fatal shootings, domestic abuse, reckless driving.
To stop criminal aggression, vote for conservative Brad Schimel for the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Brad Schimel knows what to do with violent offenders.
The dangerous ones, they need to get locked up and stay locked up.
Vote for conservative Brad Schimel for Wisconsin Supreme Court. If you have an absentee ballot, return it today. To find your polling place, go to myvote.wi.gov and vote to restore the rule of law.
I'm running to restore integrity and accountability to Wisconsin Supreme Court.
Vote for conservative Brad Schimel for the Wisconsin Supreme Court. To find your polling place, go to myvote.wi.gov. When Republicans vote, Wisconsin wins. America's PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidate's agent or committee.
I'm Josh Sparks, owner of Infinity Exteriors. 9 out of 10. Brand new roofs can't pass a simple manufacturer warranty inspection. Every Infinity roof does.
MJ, Josh's partner here, protecting homeowners for decades to come, always installing roofs, siding, and windows to better than manufacturer warranty specifications is how we built Infinity to the most successful exterior remodeling company in the Midwest.
It's your home, it's your roof. With Infinity, it's all about you.
Infinity passes on buying power no other roofer has, saving you money.
Infinity provides absolute transparency in pricing everything with our proprietary app, showing exactly what Infiniti is going to do and exactly what everything will cost line by line, real time.
No waiting 3 days to a week for a quote.
If you like what you see,
and you will,
Infiniti can schedule your new roof, siding, or windows, including financing, right there in your home. No hassle, no waiting.
Warranted, guaranteed quality. Installing peace of mind. InfinityRoofing.com.
That's InfinityRoofing.com.
Breaking news tonight. President Donald Trump is officially weighing in. Trump has endorsed Brad Schimel in the race for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Trump called the election, quote, very important.
And Trump's right. If we elect Susan Crawford to the Supreme Court, none of the good that he's trying to do nationally will trickle down to Wisconsin.
Radical Susan Crawford supports banning voter ID, letting violent child rapists out of prison early, endangering Wisconsin families, and stands with those who allow boys in girls' sports.
I think the stakes have never been higher.
That's Trump's message to Wisconsin. This election is so important. Please get out and vote for Wisconsin's Brad Schimel. Stand with conservatives and support rule of law Brad Schimel for Supreme Court. Vote before or on Tuesday, April 1st for President Trump's pick for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Brad Schimel for Wisconsin.
I'm Brad Schimel, paid for by Schimel for Justice.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules. All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the NX Wealth Management Studios. NX Wealth Management, know the difference. A place where freedom of speech and freedom of thought live on. Stay informed all day, every day on News Talk 1130 WISN.
Jim in Glendale, you are up next on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Milwaukee Alderman Lamont Westmoreland in some hot water for calling out the north side of Milwaukee's littering problem. What say you, Jim?
Thanks for taking my call, Dan. I have a job that I drive predominantly around the north side of Milwaukee, and it is gross.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. If I were a visitor to the city and I saw that, I would go back and tell people in Milwaukee it's not good.
No. And that's sort of what my son and I came away when we were down there. And we go down there all the time, a couple times a week for indoor soccer down to the E-Line Sports Complex. And we were like, whoa, yeah. And I'm just used to it. I'm like, okay, well, the snow's melted and the trash is out. And I was thinking to myself as I saw this, I was thinking about shopping carts. You've all seen a shopping cart. You've all dealt with a shopping cart. Have you heard, though, about the shopping cart theory? No? Paul, you have not. I'm willing to wager a lot of our listeners have not either. What do you do with the shopping cart after you use it? You put it back in the little receptacle, right? Do you? Every time? Your wife makes you. If she wasn't around, would you put the shopping cart back every time? Okay, Paul says yes, he worked in the service sector. The shopping cart theory posits that you can tell a person's moral character and whether they can comport with society's rules by whether or not they put back the shopping cart. Why? Because there's no benefit to doing so. There is no reward. You get nothing out of putting the shopping cart back. At the same time, there's no punishment, really, for not putting it back. Okay, someone might see you and say, that's rude. But is there really any punishment? No. The only reason you put back the shopping cart is because of what you just said, because somebody else will have to do it for you. And, I don't want to be a jerk. There is an unspoken, unwritten rule, but it is a societal norm. Everybody knows that when you're done with the shopping cart, you put the shopping cart back. Just as everybody knows that when you are done eating your McDonald's, yeah, it's gross, but you've got the bag with all the little bags, and it sits in your car for a little bit, and your car may smell like French fries, but you wait until you can get to a garbage can and you throw it out, usually at a gas station. Maybe you're getting home and you throw out, you don't just throw out your crap out the window. A lot of people on Milwaukee's north side failing the shopping cart test. And in fact, I can remember before I even knew what the shopping cart theory was, when I was working on Capitol Drive, I would go to the Walmart. I worked at another radio station in town, a formerly conservative one. And I would go to the Walmart on Capitol Drive all the time. And it always struck me how many shopping carts were just out there in the wild, just sort of grazing on the blacktop pasture like stray cows. Shopping cart theory. It doesn't matter where the people who are willing to break the social contract exist. If there are large numbers of people who are willing to break the social contract and adherence to society's norms needs to be enforced. It needs to be reinforced that you don't do this because you don't. Is there any reward to having your trash sit with you in your car, stinking up your car? No. In fact, it's a detriment. Just as the shopping cart, when it's cold as heck outside, you don't want to walk all the way to the little cart return corral and then walk all the way back to your car. It's cold, but you do it. It's far easier to just throw your trash out the window, but you don't because you know it's wrong. Why is it wrong? Because somebody else has to pick it up. Because it's you being a jerk. Now, extrapolate that to society's bigger rules. If someone is willing to just throw their crap outside the car window, are they more likely to steal a Snickers bar? Not because they're hungry, but because, whatever. I don't really care about the fact that this little convenience store has to buy these things in bulk and they need to sell them in order to have a profit or stay in business. This is a big reason why we have what are known as urban food deserts, where there aren't grocery stores in urban areas because those grocery stores, which operate on a notoriously thin profit margin, can't make a profit and can't stay in business because there is so much theft, because so many people are just stealing from them left and right that they have to move out. And then you have got the invariably left-wing Democrat politicians will come out and say, well, it is racist that Pick and Save won't put a grocery store in this neighborhood. Pick and Save can't put a grocery store in that neighborhood because Pick and Save would lose too much money. And instead of enforcing the shopping cart theory or the shoplifting theory, instead of enforcing shoplifting laws, we blame the evil, greedy corporations. That is a fundamental distortion of where we are and where we should be as a society. Let's go to Travis out in Pewaukee up next on the Dan O'Donnell Show. How you doing, Travis?
Hi,
You're
Dan.
on the air.
Hi, Dan.
Hi.
I just wanted to pass along the comment that every spring when I'm working in the city, I see trash tornadoes. They're like funnel clouds of trash on windy days.
Do you go around chasing them like Bill Paxton in the movie Twister? And you're like, we're going to try to study the science of the trash tornado. That is hilarious. On the northwest side, we find Pete. Pete, you actually live in the area that Alderman Westmoreland is talking about.
Yes, I do. And I tell you what, the number one responsibility this whole problem is the people that throw it out there.
Yeah.
You know, don't you have a garbage bag? You got your McDonald's in a bag. Put your trash back in the bag. Put it in the trash bin. But the other thing I'm going to say is that for the people, I go out every morning. It sucks, but I go out every morning, first thing in the morning, every day, and I pick up the litter that's in my front yard.
Seriously? There is litter every day in your front yard. Boy, I would be infuriated by that.
I know. It is. It's infuriating as you wouldn't know. I live on 81st in Lisbon. Every day, I'm picking up napkins. I'm picking up straws. You know, like from cups. I'm picking up sometimes cups.
Yeah. No, I pick
it up.
I gotcha. But hey, Pete, we have to go because we have a very special guest. And unfortunately, folks, I know, there is a whole lot of interest in this topic. We are going to have to shelve it for now because in just 1 second, what do you think? Paul, should we just go to him right now? Yeah, let's not make the chairman of the Republican National Committee wait. He is nice enough to give us a call. Michael Whatley joining us once again ahead of a big Trump teletown hall tonight. And in fact, they are changing it, Chairman Whatley. I'm not sure if you were in communication with President Trump and hopefully future Supreme Court Justice Brad Schimel. They are now calling it a tele-rally. And we want everyone to call in, sir. I have just got word from the Schimel campaign. At 6 p.m. tonight, call 833-746-0072. 833-746-0072 to join the President Trump, Brad Schimel tele-rally. 833-746-0072. Sir, are you going to be calling in?
Yes, of course I will be calling in. I am very excited that the president is going to host one of these events with Brad. You know, in these teletown halls, these tele-rallies that the president has done over the last couple of election cycles have been really, really remarkable. Tens of thousands of people are calling in and being able to listen to his message. And the president's message on this Supreme Court race is exactly on point. You know, there's so many people in Wisconsin who don't know that this race is taking place.
Yes.
They don't know that on Tuesday we're going to have a super important election. And so for him to lean in the way that he has been leaning in to this race and making sure that everybody is aware and that they've got to get out and vote. You know, we still have early voting going on right now where people can go out and vote. But Election Day is right around the corner. And the fact that you've got the president leaning in, you've got Elon Musk who's engaged, you've got, you know, a number of folks around the country. I'm excited that I'm going to be up in Wisconsin over the weekend to campaign with Brad. You know, and I think that this is a national priority in Wisconsin. And if we get our people out, we can win this race. There's no question about it. We just saw with President Trump, you know, winning the election in November, you know, and we know that this is going to be a very low turnout election just because it's off year, it's off month, it's off cycle. But if we can get your listeners and we can get, you know, all of the conservatives across Wisconsin to take a few minutes and go cast that ballot, it will make a tremendous difference for the future of Wisconsin and, frankly, for the future of the country.
Well, sir, that's exactly why we run what we call Wisconsin's largest early vote drive. We try to get as many people out early voting as humanly possible. And to talk about the stakes in this race from a national level, did you happen to hear what House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said this week about getting Susan Crawford elected and using that to essentially gerrymander Wisconsin's congressional maps to take control of the House next year?
Yeah, he's saying the quiet part out loud. And the fact is that Susan Crawford was actually on a conference call and a Zoom earlier this year saying exactly the same thing. They tried to bury the story, but when you have the Democrat leader from the House, saying straight up, this is about voter ID. This is going to be about drop boxes, but most importantly, it's going to be about redistricting. The fact that she is openly advocating for using the Supreme Court to take away the legislative authority that in drawing those maps. This is not a court-ordered redraw. Is not the way that the Constitution sets it up in Wisconsin. That they would be, going against the grain to be able to get that done. We have a 3-seat majority right now in Congress.
Yeah,
and we need those 2 seats up in Wisconsin. This is about the president's agenda. This is about the American common sense agenda that he campaigned on, that we're trying to get done. It's about keeping our borders secured, keeping our economy growing, and making sure our community's safe, and that we're going to be strong enough around the world. We do not want to see the Supreme Court of Wisconsin dropping in 2 additional Democratic seats in Congress next year.
No, and in fact, for those who didn't hear what Hakeem Jeffries said, if I could, I would like to play this for you and for all our listeners. We have been playing it all week, but this is exactly as you said, him saying the quiet part out loud. He gave $18,000 of his personal money to Susan Crawford. Now, why would a guy from New York want to do that for a race in Wisconsin unless he realized that Susan Crawford getting elected means he becomes Speaker of the House? Here, take a listen to what he said on Monday.
In Wisconsin, that's a 50-50 race because we know Wisconsin's a 50-50 state.
Yeah.
And we have a strong Democratic candidate. Whoever wins is going to determine who has the majority in the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Why is that important? Because there are gerrymandered congressional lines right now in Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a 50-50 state, as I mentioned, but there are 6 Republicans and only 2 Democrats out of an 8-person delegation because the lines are broken.
Right.
And as soon as possible, we need to be able to revisit that and have fair lines. The only way for that to be even a significant possibility is if you have an enlightened Supreme Court. And so, I think that's an incredibly important race.
An enlightened Supreme Court, sir. Now, we just saw today President Trump withdrew the nomination of Elise Stefanik because he realizes how thin the House majority is. She would have sailed through Senate confirmation, but he withdrew the nomination because we need every vote. Hakeem Jeffries is saying we can get 2 Democrat seats flipped if we just elect this woman. That is about as corrupt as it gets, sir, isn't it?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It is so critical that we get, that we have a court that is going to interpret the Constitution and interpret the law. That's why we want to have conservatives on the courts, and it is absolutely imperative for us to have a conservative court that is going to follow the Wisconsin Constitution and make sure that they're applying this. So we feel very strongly about this. I think the fact that you have liberal money coming from places like George Soros and others that are supporting her right now, that Hakeem Jeffries is all in on her right now, should be a very big signal to everybody across the state of Wisconsin what the stakes are in this race.
Those stakes could not possibly be higher, so high, in fact, that President Trump himself is getting involved in this. Are you going to be speaking on the call tonight, sir, or are you just going to be calling in and listening?
I will just be calling in to listen. I think it's tremendously important that we have the president be able to deliver his message unfiltered, as he does. But I think the key for everybody is that when you get this type of engagement, it just tells you how important this race really is for the president, for us, as the Republican Party, and for everybody in Wisconsin.
Well, sir, thank you so much for taking time out of what I can only imagine is an incredibly busy schedule for you to, again, talk with us. We always enjoy you calling in, so please don't be a stranger, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dan, and thanks to all your listeners.
The pleasure is all mine. Michael Whatley, the Republican National Committee Chairman. We always appreciate it when he calls in. We will, of course, always take his call. By the way, we are also going to hear from Eric Hovde to check in with him about the importance of getting out and voting and voting early. And we'll sort of catch up with him. Coming up, I believe 5:06, we're going to talk with him. That tele-rally, it was a tele-town hall. I wasn't exactly sure. It has been, folks, I heard Paul said driving home, Sean Hannity was also locked out of his account. That's good because I know our company wouldn't fire Sean Hannity. So at least I know. I called during the top of the hour news. I called our IT hotline, and the guy goes, very nice, very helpful. He goes, "Oh man, I've never seen this before. I'm gonna have to throw this up the ladder." I'm like, "Oh boy." I'm like, that's not good. So I may be forever locked out of my account. I didn't know the Schimel team. I'm on their press list, obviously. I can't access my email. So the comms director for the Schimel campaign texted me and say, yes, we are changing this, because sometimes they only want a select group of people there, donors, things like that. Now they're calling it a tele-rally. They are saying, get out, get on the phone. 833-746-0072. 833-746-0072. We're going to take a break on the Dan O'Donnell Show, figure how we're going to structure the rest of the show, because we have got a ton to get to.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Westbound 94, a little slow around the Stadium interchange, then jammed from Highway 100 out to Brookfield with a stall block in the left lane. Southbound on 894 after Beloit, center lane is blocked with an accident. Some heavy delays as you approach. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $250 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends April 5th. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
I'm Mark Belling. Everybody has an agenda, and it seems like everybody is carrying water for somebody else. My agenda is to tell you what's going on, no matter who likes it. The Mark Belling Podcast begins May 1st.
The Mark Belling Podcast is presented by Uline Shipping and Industrial Supplies. Ship same day for fast delivery. Visit uline.com. The Mark Belling Podcast is also supported by Cunis Auto and RV. Starting May 1st, the Mark Belling Podcast will be available at iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Willa Voss. I'm 8 years old. Mom and Dad own Cut and Go Tree Service. Yes, they did name me after a tree. Our family loves this country and the freedom it provides. Every morning, I look forward to starting the school day with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please say it along with me, even if you just say it in your mind. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. American patriots will enjoy a 5% discount for flying the American flag and mentioning this commercial when the Cut and Go remote control, automobile mounted, articulated crane, grapple saw operators are putting your dead trees on the ground or removing large branches that grew over something important. An all-American, tons of trees movement, cutandgotrees.com. That's CUTNGOTREES.com.
Get off the bench and into the game. Score a deal with the March Mania sales event. This month at Cunis, we have high-flying new vehicle specials at your Milwaukee Metro Region dealerships in Oak Creek and Greenfield. Get huge discounts on the Buick Envista and Envision SUVs or the rugged GMC Terrain and Sierra. Thinking pre-owned? Visit our website for a slam dunk deal on one of our 10 pre-owned super specials. Plus, our service specials on brakes, tires, and oil changes are nothing nothing but net.
I'm Brian Bohm, General Manager of Cunis of Oak Creek.
And I'm Bill Eater, General Manager of Cunis of Greenfield.
We would like to invite you to take advantage of these great monthly specials.
And remember that your vehicle will be covered by our exclusive No Fear Lifetime Powertrain Warranty, included with new and qualified pre-owned purchases.
Call or stop in today for your VIP appointment.
Embrace March Mania and score a deal this month at Cunis. Start your search online at CunisBuickGMC.com.
I'm Kelly Lammert from Clean Living Environments. Virtually everyone who cleans ducts repairs and sells air conditioners, furnaces, water heaters, or whatever. Duct cleaning is secondary. Clean Living Environments, partners for your comfort and health and your economy. Our superior agitation, high power suction gets more of everything you don't want in ducts out than suction alone can. We're happy with a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. We charge less for superior duct cleaning. Once ducts are Clean Living Environments clean, our ducts-only technicians can seal them. Neighboring states give $500 energy bill credits for existing homeowners who have ducts sealed because sealing saves natural gas waste forever, helping heated or cooled air get where it's supposed to be. If you've been quoted for duct cleaning, I personally guarantee Clean Living Environments will get more out of your ducts, charging less. With natural gas prices skyrocketing upward, Clean Living Environments AeroSeal duct cleaning is a prudent, long-term home budget saver. Get more of your ducts, cleanlivingenvironments.com. That's cleanlivingenvironments.com.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell for Mander Collision and Glass, now with 7 locations to serve you across the greater Milwaukee area. Start your repair right now at mandercollision.com. Mander truly is the best decision after a collision.
Catering to all who appreciate quality installation, a great value, and the finest windows and doors. Your clear choice for more, Lisbon Storm Screen and Door. Find us at lisbonstorm.com.
Your clear choice for more, Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
We use powerful truck-mounted carpet cleaning units designed to remove even the toughest dirt, and certified cleaning technicians who understand the definition of clean.
Edelman Carpet Furniture and Drapery Cleaning.
It's Edelman again. Edelman.
It's your last chance to get Disney Plus and Hulu together for just $2.99 a month.
Definitely a very smart move.
Get both and watch Star Wars Andor Season 2 and Mufasa the Lion King on Disney Plus.
There's a lot of stories with all of us.
On Hulu, it's the new season of The Handmaid's Tale and A Complete Unknown.
Give a warm welcome to Bob Dylan.
Don't miss your last chance to get Disney Plus and Hulu together for just $2.99 a month for 4 months. New and returning subscribers, 18 plus only. After 4 months, plan auto renews at $10.99 a month until canceled. Offer ends 3/30/25. Terms apply.
What's up, everyone? It's Greg Rosenthal, and I'm teaming up with the king of spring, Daniel Jeremiah. He requires me to say that. We're going to be bringing you 40s and Free Agents, the only podcast you'll need this NFL draft season. From DJ's mock drafts to my top 101 free agents, we'll have it covered for you with all new episodes every Thursday, keeping you up to date as we head to the NFL draft. Listen to 40s and Free Agents on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Follow 40s and Free Agents and start listening on the free iHeart Radio app today.
This hour of the Dan O'Donnell Show is presented by the WISN Vote Early Project. Make your voice heard now. Early voting is open. Contact your municipal clerk for details. Don't wait. Make your voice heard.
An important update. I am no longer locked out of my account. However, my password no longer works. I think I have to just reset my password. I'm back in. I'm waiting to hear from corporate. As a result of all of this, folks, it's just going to be easier. We have been very discombobulated. A lot of stuff happening. We got a call from the RNC chairman. You got to take that. I have decided we're going to push Forgotten History to tomorrow. I have got a great story about with the JFK files released. I do want to make sure we have time to do that, to talk about it. So we are going to push Forgotten History to tomorrow. Brand new episode will debut then. We will talk coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Eric Hovde is going to join the show. We'll catch up with him, find out what he's been up to after his Senate run and the importance of getting out that early vote and making sure that nothing is left to chance. I'm still, the Hovde loss is still one that sticks with me because, man, would he have been a good senator. Oh, and instead, we have got the biggest do-nothing waste of space since the last do-nothing waste of space in the United States Senate, Herb Kohl. I mean, it's just every Democrat that we get in Russ Feingold had one bill. What the McCain-Feingold is the one guy who votes against the Patriot Act, and he is the one that he does McCain-Feingold. It immediately gets overturned by the Supreme Court for being grossly unconstitutional. Thank you very much, Russ. A long storied history of Democrat senators from this state just being absolutely worthless. Seriously, tell me, you can't say the Milwaukee Bucks. Tell me one thing Herb Kohl did. He served milk at the state fair. He worked at his milk stand. That was about it. He inherited his money, and what did he do? He bought the Bucks. He ensured, I'll give him this, and I know he was not a particularly good owner of the Bucks, but he ensured that they stay in Milwaukee. But as a senator, he did nothing. Tammy Baldwin is even worse. And I will say this. Herb Kohl was a phenomenally nice man. He was a truly good-hearted, genuine, decent, kind man. If you walked up to him, he would just be kind of walking around the concourse at Bucks games. And we had like a 20-game pack or something at one point as a family. He was beyond nice. He would sit and talk to you about the team for 15 minutes. So please don't, Dan just hates Herb Kohl. I loved Herb Kohl. He just was not an effective senator. Tammy Baldwin is beyond invisible. Tammy Baldwin might be the most useless senator I have ever covered. Like in all my years, I've been covering politics in Wisconsin for a quarter century. I have not found someone in the House or the Senate who has been as useless as Tammy Baldwin. And we could have had a truly great guy, a nice man, a very good business leader. And instead, because we've got some jackass, mentally challenged moron who runs as a third-party spoiler candidate, we have Tammy Baldwin. All right, enough about my rant. We'll talk with Eric Hovde next. Plus, MPS helping out illegal migrants. That story, an exclusive after the break.
From the place you want to go, Lynch McGuanago Traffic Center.
Got some trouble southbound on 894, down past National, a crash block in the right lane. Further south of there after Beloit, a crash block in the center lane. Heavy delays all around, taking 20 minutes between the Zoo and Hale interchange. I'm Kevin Henry, and that's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $250 off your print order. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends April 5th. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
Warshawski trial attorney Frank Crivello here.
Folks, I'm Victor Harding. Frank is selected Best Lawyers 2024 Complex Litigation Lawyer of the Year.
More impressive is Victor Harding named Product Liability Attorney of the Year again for 2024.
It may sound boastful to mention these prestigious awards.
It's not boastful considering if you or someone you love is injured, you need to know 2 attorneys from the same personal injury firm being chosen by other lawyers and judges for these caliber of awards is very rare.
Heaven forbid you ever need an injury claim made on your behalf. If you do, the quality of your attorney and law firm will have a greater impact on the outcome than even the facts of your case.
Former clients, other lawyers, judges, law enforcement officers, and even insurance adjusters,
often our adversaries,
refer their family and friends to Warshawski because they know Warshawski will achieve maximum compensation.
Injured? It is about the money.
Warshawski.com.
That's Warshawski.com.
Imagine your home totally organized. At Closets by Design, we specialize in providing affordable, custom-built storage solutions with built-ins and beyond. From walk-in closets to new laundry rooms and pantries, our experienced designers work within your budget to design a solution fit perfectly to your needs. Get 40% off plus an additional 15% with 18-month financing. Visit closetsbydesign.com or call 1-800-BY-DESIGN to get started. Let's get organized together.
I can see the breath inside my house. This is how horror movies start.
First, the cold seeps in. Next thing you know, you're spooning your cat for warmth.
I tried it. He bit me.
Jason, come on, man. You need a new furnace. Don't you know that Capital is giving away the furnace when you get a new AC?
Giving as in free?
Yeah, but call Capital before this turns into the horror version of Frozen. Call Capital today and get a free furnace with a new AC.
Old-fashioned service, you can't go wrong. Call CapitalCares.com.
breaking news tonight. President Donald Trump is officially weighing in.
Trump has endorsed Brad Schimel in the race for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Trump called the election, quote, very important.
And Trump's right.
If we elect Susan Crawford to the Supreme Court, none of the good that he's trying to do nationally will trickle down to Wisconsin.
Radical Susan Crawford supports banning voter ID, letting violent child rapists out of prison early, endangering Wisconsin families, and stands with those who allow boys in girls' sports.
I think the stakes have never been higher.
That's Trump's message to Wisconsin. This election is so important. Please get out and vote for Wisconsin's Brad Schimel. Stand with conservatives and support rule of law Brad Schimel for Supreme Court. Vote before or on Tuesday, April 1st for President Trump's pick for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Brad Schimel for Wisconsin.
I'm Brad Schimel, paid for by Schimel for Justice.
Josh from Infinity here. The exterior remodeling industry is notorious for wild price disparities and hidden costs. Infinity has revolutionized the exterior remodeling experience. Our custom-built app is your window into our world of clear, accurate pricing.
MJ here. No more guesswork. No more unpleasant surprises. Every detail, all materials are clear for you to see. Absolute pricing transparency makes Infinity the most trusted roofing and exterior remodeling company in the Midwest.
We built Infinity on a foundation of integrity. More than installing roofs, siding, and windows, Infinity installs peace of mind, building lifelong relationships with our customers.
Infinity's proprietary app is an extension of our commitment, providing exact line item pricing, something unheard of in roofing and exterior remodeling.
Infinity's unmatched buying power saves you money. We pay less, you pay less. Infinity provides multiple budget options real time. Everything is at your fingertips, including financing options before we leave your home.
Warranted, guaranteed quality, installing peace of mind. InfinityRoofing.com.
Men's wedding bands made from whiskey barrels and meteorites.
Welcome to Kessler's.
How do you define strength? Is it physical? Or is it mental? Maybe it's both. Maybe it's whatever empowers a person to dig deeper, fight harder, and overcome obstacles that once seemed insurmountable. Discover how much stronger and more confident your children can be. Encourage them to participate in a sport when they go to high school.
This message presented by the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors Association.
Listen to Benjamin Yount, weekday mornings 9 to 11 on News Talk 1130 WISN Milwaukee. And make WISN the #1 preset on your car radio and on the new iHeart app. Free never sounded so good.
With news on WISN, I'm Raymond Newpert. President Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs are set to go into effect next week, sparking some fears that will drive up the cost of goods and worsen inflation. This comes as consumer confidence fell to a 12-year low. Elon Musk says he's given $1 million to a Green Bay voter ahead of the state Supreme Court election. In a post on Twitter this afternoon, he says he gave that money to Scott A. from Green Bay. And a brief interruption on service for Amtrak's popular Borealis service. That's after some routine inspection found corrosion on the aging Horizon rail cars. Checking the Holiday Automotive of Fond du Lac Sports scoreboard, the Brewers in action this afternoon against the Yankees for the baseball opener. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Raymond Newpert on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
From the Hupy and Abraham Weather Center.
Drying out this afternoon with temperatures climbing into the low and middle 50s. Another chance for showers and a few thunderstorms late tonight into Friday morning. Then windy and much warmer with highs in the 60s and 70s. Rain returns Saturday. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Stephanie Barrichello.
This report is sponsored by Bet Online.
Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your #1 source for wagering on all the madness. With the largest selection of odds on college basketball to a $200,000 bracket contest. Bet Online has you covered for every game, every play, and every win. Bet Online. The game starts here.
ACI accredited NARI member, A+ BBB rating, dwelling contractor certified, fully insured and bonded, licensed in Wauwatosa, Milwaukee, and Wisconsin for 25 years, standing behind the concrete Wisconsin businesses and residents stand on. DornbrookConstruction.com.
Hear one of today's most brilliant and celebrated percussionists when Ji Soo Jung is the soloist in Grammy Award-winning composer Kevin Putz's Marimba Concerto with the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra April 4th and 5th. Tickets are already limited for these concerts, so call the box office now to reserve your best seats at 414-291-7605 or online at mso.org. Assistant conductor Ryan Taney will conduct this program, which also includes Beethoven's energetic Fourth Symphony, as well as Aaron Copland's beloved and sentimental Appalachian Spring, one of the most distinctively American-sounding works in the repertoire. Don't miss this chance to hear the MSO in Copland's Appalachian Spring and more, April 4th and 5th only. The number again for tickets is 414-291-7605 or visit mso.org.
We didn't write the headline, the Wall Street Journal did. The days of set and forget investing just ended for many Americans. Economic uncertainty and global unrest. It's a wake-up call. Standard financial advice is to avoid making rash decisions during market turmoil. But retirement planning isn't a set it and forget it process anymore. That's where Annex Wealth Management comes in. As fee-only fiduciaries, we craft personalized plans that adapt as needed. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Head to annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button.
Andy, how does it feel to win the summer?
Feels real good, Holly. Like a lush lawn.
Let's talk about the dandelions. How did you beat those?
It's a team effort here. My tech Danny from Weedman came in for the weed control assist.
What's next?
We're talking fertilization, aeration. There's a lot in store.
There you have it. It's Weedman for the win. Visit weedman.com for a free quote and save 50% on your first service with promo code WIN.
Increasing number of homicides, non-fatal shootings, domestic abuse, reckless driving.
To stop criminal aggression, vote for conservative Brad Schimel for the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Brad Schimel knows what to do with violent offenders.
The dangerous ones. They need to get locked up and stay locked up.
Vote for conservative Brad Schimel for Wisconsin Supreme Court. If you have an absentee ballot, return it today. To find your polling place, go to myvote.wi.gov and vote to restore the rule of law.
I'm running to restore integrity and accountability to Wisconsin Supreme Court.
Vote for conservative Brad Schimel for the Wisconsin Supreme Court. To find your polling place, go to myvote.wi.gov. When Republicans vote, Wisconsin wins. America's PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidate's agent or committee.
Your home cleaning friend, it's Edelman again. Edelman.
Kowal Investment Group, now Creative Planning, is a registered investment advisor. Now for your business report from Creative Planning. For informational purposes only, past performance is not indicative of future results.
Good afternoon, this is Tom Krieger with your afternoon business report. Major averages moved lower today as investors assessed the latest tariff-related news from President Trump, including hefty new tariffs on auto imports. 25% tariffs on foreign-made autos are set to begin in April during the same week as reciprocal tariffs. Meanwhile, U.S.-listed shares of Alibaba popped 2% after the company launched its latest open-source artificial intelligence model. The new model can process text, images, audio, and video while generating real-time text and natural speech responses. At the close, the Dow is down 155, S&P 500 down 18, and the NASDAQ down 94. From the Kowal Investment Group, now Creative Planning, I'm Tom Krieger.
The Dan O'Donnell Show. Close call. I thought I was able to get back into my email account. No dice. I was so close. I was able to reset my password. Then I entered the new password that I had just reset my password to, and I was told my password was incorrect. So, we are back to the drawing board as to what it might be. One thing I do know is that in less than an hour, I am hoping the password to get into this is correct. President Trump and Brad Schimel will be holding a tele-rally. I don't believe there is a password that you need. All you need to do to listen in is to dial 833-746-0072. 833-746-0072. President Trump, future Supreme Court Justice Brad Schimel, and you. 6 p.m., 53 minutes from right now. Right now, though, an update on the state's largest early vote drive. So far, after 7 days of early voting here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, it's the 8th day of the state's largest early vote drive through 7 days of reporting. Not 7 days of voting, 7 days that we have had a show. We have 7,348 early votes logged, an average of 1,049 per day. That was a total of 1,170 early votes yesterday, by far our biggest day. 902 by the time the show ended yesterday, and then an additional 268 today, for a day 7 total of 1,170. Both the show total of 902 in the 3 hours that we were actively encouraging you to text in your early votes, and today, where we weren't on the air, but people were still early voting and texting in, both of those numbers represented single-day records. Joining us now, Senate candidate, businessman, and all-around good guy, Eric Hovde, live on the phone. Sir, how are you doing? It's great to catch up with you.
Dan, it's great catching up with you, and I hope everyone's off having a great day in this beautiful weather that we're experiencing. It's going to be 70 degrees tomorrow, so what a nice turn. And by the way, Dan, before we get off on the state Supreme Court race, I hope one thing AI can fix is all these damn passwords. You can have one password with AI
and
it opens any and all accounts, because I'm so sick of damn passwords.
Oh, my goodness.
With your whole thing. So,
well, you know what sparked this? Honest to goodness. So we did away with phones in our offices, and we get our calls, our phone calls, through Microsoft Teams. Well, I got a voicemail on my personal voicemail, and I clicked on the link, and it was a legit Microsoft. This was not a phishing link or anything like this. And I'm going to fill in my password again to access my voicemail, which again doesn't come through a phone anymore, but comes through Microsoft Teams. And I must have entered the password incorrectly. Well, the one misentered password has completely locked up my entire account. And now, even though I changed my password, it doesn't register the new password. I'm taking a wild guess. They're going to have to just nuke the Dan O'Donnell account and start a new one. That is my honest. So my email address is going to be like danodonnell1@iheartmedia.com starting tomorrow. I'm convinced of it. But you're right. Can we not, sir, I know you are a businessman, but can we get Elon Musk? Do you still have contacts with the Musk team that we can get? I mean, the man can send people to Mars in a couple of years. Can we just get like a universal password where it can like detect my aura or something like that and log me in? All right, that's the end of my rant. I'm glad even people as wealthy and as successful and politically connected as you still share the exact same frustrations that I do.
Oh, I do. Thank you. But look, I'm not on the show to talk about that. It's great being on your show and all the rest. And at some point we'll come on, we'll talk about my race and what transpired that night and all the rest. But what I want to talk about today is the importance of the state Supreme Court race. I can't stress enough how important and critically important this is. Look, 2 years ago, when the left won, they brought $45 million to a race that's usually $33 to $4 million. This time they're even bringing more than that. Soros and the guy who owns Pritzker and the guy who owns Netflix, I'm forgetting his name, pumped in $20 million, just the three of them, into this race. Why are they doing this? Why are they so desperate? For a number of different reasons. One, because of redistricting. They hope to gerrymander the system so badly that it wipes out one, if not two, congressional seats. So that's a big part of it. But it's a whole host of other things. Look, this current state Supreme Court doesn't even follow the law. They've become totally politicized, and that's the last thing you want for a state Supreme Court. Look, a big reason why I didn't challenge these 120,000 absentee ballots that were dropped at 4:30 a.m. in Milwaukee and a couple other places was because I knew it would have to go up to the state Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And the only option I had was a recount, so all they would do is feed the same ballots, even if they were legitimate ballots, illegitimate ballots or not. So it's really important. So everybody has to get out, grab your friend, grab your neighbor, grab your colleagues, and get out and vote, because we need this critically important for this state and its success.
How important was it to get that early vote out for you? And, we'll talk another day about what it was that you were alleging happened on election night in the city of Milwaukee. And I have been hearing some rumors about, we'll save that for another day. But how important was it to get that early vote out? I mean, you very nearly unseated a 3-term incumbent, very entrenched, very well-funded incumbent, and President Trump won this state for the second time in 3 tries, but Republicans just don't win Wisconsin, and I think both of you did so on the back of just incredibly strong in-person early vote numbers.
Yeah, look, it was very important, and we did a good job. I, like you, got out and voted early yesterday. And it's just so easy. When you vote early, honestly, it took me 10 minutes. I literally walked through the door. There was not one soul there. About 5 people came in after me. The woman gave me the thing, signed it, went over to the machine, boom, 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 brought it back, and I was done. I walked out the door, and it was 10 minutes later. It was simple and easy peasy. So it's really critically important because, remember, on Election Day, that may end up not being a 10-minute process. It could end up being a 30-minute process or a 40-minute process. You may all of a sudden have something happen where, your kid gets sick or an accident or you have to travel and all of a sudden you can't vote. So it's just really important that everybody gets out and votes. And we can't let the left buy this seat. I mean, look at these ads. I mean, Dan, I'm sitting here watching these, but I did a video about it yesterday that I posted. Okay, they're calling Brad saying he wants to take abortion away. No, Brad's policy is very clear. Judges should only interpret the law.
Right.
It's up to a referendum or it's up to the state legislator body with the governor signing off to make law. It's not his role to decide on abortion. It's up to the people and the legislative body. Then they say he's corrupt. You and I both know Brad is far from corrupt. He is one of the most honest, ethical, Christian guys. He is the farthest thing you will find from corrupt.
And they say this. I'm sorry to interrupt. They say this while they are openly plotting to have Susan Crawford installed on the court so they can gerrymander Wisconsin's congressional maps and literally rig the 2026 midterms. But yeah, I'm sorry. What is your favorite claim that they're making?
The favorite claim, and this just shows how they treat Wisconsinites and people as such fools. And that is that a radical liberal from Madison is going to be tougher on crime than a conservative like Brad Schimel. I watch these things and I'm literally laughing. Then again, my campaign against Tammy Baldwin, every single ad she did was a complete lie. But I'm sitting there going, really? Can anybody believe a radical liberal from Madison, Wisconsin is going to be tougher on crime than a conservative guy like Brad, who has a long track record? I mean, it's just, but this is what they're doing. So if you care about the safety in your streets, in your schools, all these critical things, get out and vote. We need to flip this state Supreme Court back so we have rationality, because the left is lost. I mean, look at this governor. When I was over in Africa dealing with my foundation, he puts out, instead of mother, inseminated person. This is what they're all steeped in, and this is what is steeped in. So do you want these kind of rulings coming from our state Supreme Court, or do you want somebody who's there to interpret the law, who's reasonable with common sense and is a grounded individual?
So I'm not sure if you were in Africa over the past couple of weeks, did you happen to catch what was sung at the Bernie Sanders Susan Crawford rally? You want to talk about a party that's lost its way, about a political movement that's lost its way. Did you catch the transgender punk rock singer who sang a song? And I don't want to offend anyone, but I kind of do, actually, because this is exactly who the left is. Did you hear the song that was sung, sir?
I came back, and this just happened. Somebody sent me, but it was blocked because of the language.
Yes.
For parental control.
Yes.
And I was like, shit, I have to go through some stuff, and I can't do that right now, and I have to go back and listen to it. But everybody said it was utterly disgusting.
It was. I mean, you have got this person saying, you've got this person singing, all right, and we're gonna hold on. I'm gonna give you a 5 count here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Does your God have a big fat bleep because it feels like he's bleeping me? I mean, my goodness. First of all, I saw this singer. There is no chance anybody is going to be bleeping you anytime soon, at least until you get the wardrobe and the wig thing straightened out. But this is at a political rally. This is, and when I broke this story, sir, I said, this is why Democrats have lost normies. Normies are just you and I. They're normal people. People just who are like, okay, yeah, I don't want a transgender dude in a dress with an acoustic guitar singing about my God's you know what. And I also offered $50,000 to that singer to go to the Islamic Society of Milwaukee and sing that exact same song, only replace the word God with the word Allah and the word Jesus with the word Muhammad. And I will up that offer to $75,000 if I can watch what happens next. It is funny how that never seems to enter their mind, but it's just like, these are Susan Crawford's people. These are the people that Susan Crawford will rule for, who will rule in favor of if she gets power. These are her supporters. These are her voters.
100%. And if I was sitting at a rally for me and somebody saying something that inappropriate, guess what? I would have stood up and said, hey, I don't agree with that. Please, I apologize to the audience, and that's wrong. I'd walk out after saying something. But she sat there, no problem, and this is what they're all steeped in. And it's going to be crazy stuff one after another. You know, President Trump is doing a great job of getting these gang members out of our country, arresting. They just arrested the head of MS-13 in Virginia.
Yeah.
But it takes a state, Governor Youngkin from Virginia was there saying how they worked with, the federal authorities to accomplish this. Well, when you have states and courts that are working against you, that's very hard to do. So we need to get our state normalized. because with what's going on with the state Supreme Court and with Governor Evers, who has been just an unmitigated disaster, he's our Joe Biden. This race is just critically important.
It certainly is. And, sir, we would love to have you back on. You don't need to be talking about anything. I just genuinely enjoy having you on. We can have you on as like a political commentator. You could be like, you could be part of my new McLaughlin group. How about that? Be like the O'Donnell group. What do you say?
I love it, Dan.
Excellent.
I love it.
Excellent.
I love it. Always happy to be on your show. You're a freaking great guy. And you know what, everybody? Let's go take this state back. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I'm so proud of how well you're doing, Dan.
Thank you so much. He is Eric Hovde. I just genuinely enjoy the guy. I love. We did an entire podcast with him. He is happy. He sounds very happy. That's a guy. You know what? I don't know how I would deal with a loss like his, where he was. I have heard that he was being called by the NRSC, the National Republican Senate Campaign, being congratulated on his win. That their models. Oh yeah, I have sources over at I have sources. Let's just put it this way. They were calling him saying, "Congratulations, Mr. Senator." I could not fathom having that ripped away from me by all of the suspiciously high numbers of same-day voter registrations in the city of Milwaukee. And then, do you know the real reason that might or might not have totaled the number that he would have needed to overcome Tammy Baldwin, right? Do you know what actually would? There was some delusional troll pudgeball by the name of Thomas Leaguer, who was recruited by Democrats. This is how stupid. This is why I say possibly mentally challenged. I honestly don't know. And he's tweeted at me a couple of times, and I honestly still can't tell because I don't want to make fun of his mental acuity if he is actually mentally disabled. But this group would recruit either very old or mentally disabled people and convince them to run on like the America First party ticket or the We Love Trump party ticket. And all it was a spoiler candidate. And this guy's too stupid to realize that he was used by Democrat operatives, by big money donors to Democrats. He got his total votes, his total number of votes, okay, was the exact difference between Tammy Baldwin and Eric Hovde. If this idiot doesn't run, and if he's not funded by big money, Eric Hovde is a senator right now. We've also got the libertarian candidate, who is a nice enough guy. He actually called. I was joking that he was my sworn enemy for a while there. He took 40,000 votes, and that does change things. So it's like, I'm sorry, we got to start playing hardball with this. I will fund. I have no issues funding ballot challenges to anyone I suspect is just on there as a spoiler candidate. Got to win. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like there was, I told you about this state Senate election in Pennsylvania that really concerns me. Well, guess what? There was a libertarian on the ticket. That clearly is drawing away more from Republicans than it is from Democrats. And I've heard the arguments, well, they take equally away from both parties. Oh, well, maybe the Republican Party should just be better. Maybe, hear me out, libertarians should get their bleep together and either function as a serious third party, which they don't. There is not a single person. If you say the easiest way to get laughed at among serious political people is to say, I'm a libertarian. Okay, it just is. I am reminded, was it Gary Johnson who couldn't remember? What could he not remember? It was like he couldn't remember the country of Syria. Like he's like, okay, all right, seriously, Gary, smoke more weed. Seriously, smoke more weed. Like, you know what a libertarian is? A libertarian is a Republican who wants to smoke weed. End of story. That's literally it. That is it. And I'm sorry, because I have a whole lot of libertarian sympathies and leaning, and my politics are very constitutionalist and very libertarian. But it's like when you have this, every libertarian I think that I have ever really talked to just has an inherently contrarian mindset that tells me that you have something of arrested development, that your politics and your philosophy never evolved beyond wearing Slayer t-shirts when you were 15 years old. Okay? It's like, we get it. You like death metal. Oh, you don't like Britney Spears. You are so edgy. Oh, you're not going to vote for one of the two major parties. Yeehaw. Here's your thumbs up. Of course I nailed it, because I've been around these people my entire life. And it's like most liberals are like this too. If you really get down to it, most liberals just have this severe arrested development where it's like their political philosophy, their worldview has not evolved beyond that of about a 17 or 18-year-old. And it's like, oh, you're Hitler. He's Hitler. Get some new insults. Like read a book. Read an American history book. Like this. We were making fun of this NPR CEO. I didn't even have time to get to quite possibly the best soundbite. She tweeted out that she took a day off of work to read the new Ibram X. Kendi book. And Kendi is one of these race hustlers that I've been talking about, where everything is racism. If racism... My God. It's just, Ibram X. Kendi is the biggest grifter this side of Al Sharpton. Do you know what your donations to Al Sharpton's social justice campaigns have been going to? Al Sharpton's liposuction. That's what your money is going to. And Ibram X. Kendi is nearly as bad, because he's like a pseudo-intellectual, and white liberals can't stop giving him honorary degrees because he's moderately intelligent and can sort of put two thoughts together. He is like a 75 IQ person's idea of what an intellectual looks like. So this woman, Catherine Mayer, says, I took the day off to dive into Ibram X. Kendi's new book. Well, yesterday, she had to admit she never actually read all of Ibram X. Kendi's book. Much like the rest of the world, she couldn't make it through Ibram X. Kendi's book. We didn't get a daily Trump date last hour. We shall make up for that. Coming up next here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
From the Lynch Truck Center in Waterford, Total Traffic Center.
Avoid southbound 894 right now if you can. Got crash cleanup in a couple spots. First past National, that one blocking 2 right lanes. Got another one after Beloit blocking the right lane. About 15 minutes between the Zoo and the Hale. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest Total Traffic.
This report is sponsored by the Lynch Automotive family of dealerships.
For over 65 years, the Lynch family of dealerships has been more than just a car dealership. Starting in 1957, we've treated our customers like family from day one. Start your car buying journey today at shoplynch.com.
We didn't write the headline. The Wall Street Journal did. The days of set and forget investing just ended for many Americans. Economic uncertainty and global unrest. It's a wake-up call. Standard financial advice is to avoid making rash decisions during market turmoil. But retirement planning isn't a set-it-and-forget-it process anymore. That's where Annex Wealth Management comes in. As fee-only fiduciaries, we craft personalized plans that adapt as needed. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Head to annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button.
Skip waiting for a table and enjoy a homemade fish fry every Friday at Sendik's. Enjoy 3 pieces of beer-battered Northern Atlantic cod, fried shrimp, walleye fillets, or baked cod. Each include your choice of original potato pancakes or French fries, and all the fixings like fresh rye bread, creamy coleslaw, homemade applesauce, and Sendik's tartar sauce. Every Friday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at your neighborhood Sendik's. Sendik's Food Markets, your trusted local grocer.
What can Everlast Structures do for us?
The neighbors had Everlast build a hobby building for them. John said they designed the building so that their camper and boat will fit inside, and enough room inside that his wife has an office space incorporated into the design. They went with a climate control package and have heated concrete floors. There's even a bathroom in their building.
With all that extra space, we can finally get organized.
I'll give Everlast Structures a call right now.
Need more storage, a place for your hobbies, or a year-round climate-controlled building?
We are Wisconsin's top post frame builder with over 15 years of experience in post frame and residential construction. Now serving northern Wisconsin as well. Call our Wausau office for more information. Our expertise lies in designing, supplying, and building your project seamlessly. We listen to our customers, understanding their goals and requirements while thinking about the future. From design to build, we ensure your project is seamless. Our post frame structures are designed to enhance and built to endure. Call today to start your dream build with Everlast Structures.
Breaking news tonight, President Donald Trump is officially weighing in. Trump has endorsed Brad Schimel in the race for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Trump called the election, quote, very important.
And Trump's right. If we elect Susan Crawford to the Supreme Court, none of the good that he's trying to do nationally will trickle down to Wisconsin.
Radical Susan Crawford supports banning voter ID, letting violent child rapists out of prison early, endangering Wisconsin families, and stands with those who allow boys in girls' sports.
I think the stakes have never been higher.
That's Trump's message to Wisconsin. This election is so important. Please get out and vote for Wisconsin's Brad Schimel. Stand with conservatives and support rule of law Brad Schimel for Supreme Court. Vote before or on Tuesday, April 1st for President Trump's pick for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Brad Schimel for Wisconsin.
I'm Brad Schimel, paid for by Schimel for Justice.
Quiet down, where she goes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288. 800-893-2288.
All programs on News Talk 1130 WISN are broadcast through the Annex Wealth Management Studios. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference. Smart speakers get a whole lot smarter when they're playing News Talk 1130 WISN. Just ask Alexa or Siri to play WISN Radio and bask in the glow of insight and enlightenment.
See, this is what you just don't get in any other form of media. Just the spontaneity of it. Yeah, it's live radio. You don't get this from podcasts. You don't get this from cable news. I'm watching Brett Baer, and he's got what is this? Elon Musk and a whole group of dudes. Oh, he's got his Doge team there. I mean, that's cool. That's great. Please do not turn me off for Brett Baer, like my father apparently does. He told me, Daniel, I can listen to you for 2 hours. The 5 o'clock hour belongs to Brett Baer. I'm like, doggone it. I'm like, damn you, Brett. He was very impressed. I think I finally made it in my father's eyes when I told him that Brett Baer followed me on Twitter. I think I could just see a little tear. I have never... Find yourself someone who loves you, like my father loves Brett Baer and the special report on Fox News. It is a great newscast. It truly is. I'm a huge fan of Brett Baer. I met Brett Baer, talked to them a little bit at the RNC. But my God, if I were my father's girlfriend, I would watch out. Because if there is any chance, my dad is, he's a masculine, manly man. But he would go weak in the knees if Brett Baer just whispered him sweet nothing. I can say whatever I want because I know Dad's not listening. He's watching the Brett Baer show. Oh, Elon Musk. I don't know if he listens to me on podcasts. He did say he was quite upset for this exact reason when I moved to afternoons. He said, Dan, Fox News' primetime lineup is just so doggone good. You got the 5. You've got Brett Baer. I've pulled him away from the 5, right? Pulled him away from the 5. I could not. The hold of special report is just too. Now watch, I'm going to get like 5 angry texts because his friends are listening, or he's probably listening. He's probably listening, but he does he sits and he'll sip some wine, and I think he's one of the few human beings who still gets a physical newspaper. He reads the newspaper and he watches Brett Baer. All right, this one goes out to my dad. It is your daily Trump date.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
Well, a whole lot of winning for the Trump administration.
We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
For my money, in a decade's worth of funny crap that Trump has said, that is the funniest soundbite of all. The man is funny. Can we admit Trump is funny? Can we admit, even if you hate Donald Trump, he is funny? Shane Gillis has a very funny bit on this, that Trump just has incredible comedic timing. No, he never laughs himself. He has got the perfect deadpan delivery. It's all those years in TV. He did announce today that he's withdrawing the nomination of Representative Elise Stefanik to be ambassador to the UN. Now, she was going to easily sail through the Senate, but Republicans are very concerned about holding on to their thin majority in the House. They currently have 218 seats, Democrats 213, 4 seats currently vacant. Trump posted on Truth Social today, we advance our America First agenda. It is essential that we maintain every Republican seat in Congress. I have asked Elise, as one of my biggest allies, to remain in Congress to help me deliver historic tax cuts, great jobs, record economic growth, a secure border, energy dominance, peace through strength, and much more so we can make America great again. Don't feel too bad for Elise. She will get whatever job she wants. If, say, Marco Rubio steps down as Secretary of State, that job is hers if she wants, because you talk about taking one for the team. Elise Stefanik is taking one for this. Also should reiterate just how important Wisconsin's Supreme Court race is, with a margin that thin. Them gerrymandering 2 seats, as they are openly talking about doing, could be the difference, and probably will be the difference, between the House majority going to Democrat hands or Republican hands. Meanwhile, federal authorities have arrested a 24-year-old who is alleged and widely reputed to be the leader of MS-13. This happened in Northern Virginia early this morning. Justice Department identifying him today as Henry Jose Villatoro Santos. He is a Salvadoran national who is here on a student visa. He is studying at Yale. No, I'm kidding. He snuck across the border. He's the leader of MS-13, for God's sakes. Border czar Tom Homan was on Fox News this afternoon following that arrest.
So a question a lot of people have is, how long has this person been in the country? And could the Biden administration have taken him down?
Of course they could have. I mean, the Biden administration, they tied ISIS hands. They didn't have our government approach, right? The FBI is doing things they shouldn't have done. But now they got Kash Patel there. You got Pam Bondi, great AG, who's making the FBI do what they're born to do what they're supposed to do, chasing the bad guys, making this country safer.
Yeah, you tell him, Tom Homan. By the way, Tom Homan, you talk about aura, like people who just have an aura. When I was at the White House for an event, it was a media row. He walks into the room and people just stop. That guy has an aura. Just a crusty, salty old man, but he is exactly what you want in a border czar. And every neck craned to look at Tom. And you got, the Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum, and the real star of that show, Doug Burgum's eyebrows. Great friend of the Dan O'Donnell Show, by the way. He's there. The Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, is there. And everybody, their eyes are all on Tom Homan. Trump administration announcing also a major restructuring of the Department of Health and Human Services that is going to cut 20,000 jobs. Those Those cuts include employees who have taken the Trump administration's fork in the road offer, that's the buyout, and early retirement, plus an additional reduction in force of 10,000 jobs. It will take the HHS workforce from 82,000 to 62,000. And the restructuring also reorganizes HHS's many divisions to reduce them from 28 to 15. So some sanity being restored to the federal government. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your daily look back at what the Trump administration has been doing while you were at work. Here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, it is called the Daily Trump Day.
Now, here's traffic from Tri-City National Bank, your hometown bank. Call the Tri-City Total Traffic Tip Line at 414-944-5111.
Southbound 894, heavy from the zoo down to past Beloit from an earlier accident. Westbound on 94 from the Waukesha County line out to Brookfield, you got a heavy delay with a stall block in the left lane. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by the Lynch Automotive family of dealerships.
For over 65 years, the Lynch family of dealerships has been more than just a car dealership. Starting in 1957, we've treated our customers like family from day one. Start your car buying journey today at shoplynch.com.
Freedom, liberty, and justice aren't gifts that magically appear and take hold. Instead, they are privileges that must be nurtured and defended. Citizens exercise this responsibility through their vote. Wisconsin is in the midst of an impactful spring election period, including a critical race for a seat on the state Supreme Court. Early voting is taking place right now, and you are urged to take advantage and cast your vote now. A message from the WYSN Vote Early Project. Don't wait. Make your voice heard.
Please. Hear that? That's shady Brad Schimel on his knees begging for money from wealthy billionaires who want to buy Wisconsin's Supreme Court.
I have to crawl around begging people.
And the more Brad Schimel begs,
please,
the more they shell out. Because everyone knows shady Brad Schimel is for sale.
I have to crawl around begging people.
After all, Schimel cut a crooked plea deal with a man caught with child pornography after his lawyer gave Schimel thousands in campaign cash. What could have been a 25-year sentence was dropped to just 3 years for that sick predator. So it's no wonder billionaires want shady Brad Schimel on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. They've seen Schimel help his campaign donors, just like he did for that criminal's lawyer.
I have to invest in knee pads.
Brad Schimel, if you're listening, get up off your knees. You're embarrassing yourself. Paid for by the Justice Project.
Please.
Not authorized by any candidate or candidate's agent or committee.
Please.
All I'm doing is driving to have a meeting with my mom and dad. That's all.
About our finances?
Look, I'm already very late.
Jerry, remember a ceremony a year ago? I dressed in white and you in black?
I know you're my wife, but my mom said to me, you and what's her name?
She doesn't even remember my name.
Should bank at the bank next to my apartment, she said.
These days, the bank for us is First American.
Gotta go or mom's gonna worry.
First American has products that make us smart savers and smart borrowers.
See, mom made tapioca pudding for me.
First American CDs offer some of the highest rates.
But my mom says...
Your wife says we may even need a loan soon. And First American's fixed rate home equity loan is a smart way to borrow.
Yeah, but mom says
we can get the money and...
Okay. Well, check out First American Bank. Now, who can that be? Mom.
When you didn't show up, I got worried. Here's your tapioca. Dad's parking the car. Who's this?
Mom, it's my wife, Carol.
Oh, yeah, we met you at the wedding. Hi, dear.
First American Bank, the bank that does more for your money. Visit us online at firstdambank.com or call us at 262-577-2400. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Breaking news tonight, President Donald Trump is officially weighing in. Trump has endorsed Brad Schimel in the race for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Trump called the election, quote, very important.
And Trump's right.
If we elect Susan Crawford to the Supreme Court, none of the good that he's trying to do nationally will trickle down to Wisconsin.
Radical Susan Crawford supports banning voter ID, letting violent child rapists out of prison early, endangering Wisconsin families, and stands with those who allow boys in girls' sports.
I think the stakes have never been higher.
That's Trump's message to Wisconsin. This election is so important. Please get out and vote for Wisconsin's Brad Schimel. Stand with conservatives and support rule of law Brad Schimel for Supreme Court. Vote before or on Tuesday, April 1st for President Trump's pick for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Brad Schimel for Wisconsin.
I'm Brad Schimel, paid for by Schimel for Justice.
Jay Weber here, someone who knows firsthand how debilitating spine and back problems can be, and who knows where to turn to get the highest level of spine care. The team of board-certified physicians and surgeons at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. You can find them at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Ortho Wisconsin has treatment plans that can get you back to an active lifestyle and through the least invasive method possible. They take a multifaceted approach that allows them to use a variety of treatment options and find the best for you. Dr. Michael Nolte is their newest spine surgeon, and he and his colleagues are nationally recognized clinicians dedicated to enhancing quality of care for patients looking to restore and recover spinal function. Pain managing procedures are done at Ortho Wisconsin's Ambulatory Surgery Center in Pewaukee and at their Brookfield Clinic, and the more conservative treatments, like physical therapy, are offered at their new Berlin location as well. Find more info at orthowisconsin.com. In fact, if you have any shoulder, spine, hip, knee, or musculoskeletal pain, check out orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
Catering to all who appreciate quality installation, a great value, and the finest windows and doors. Your clear choice for more, Lisbon Storm Screen and Door. Find us at lisbonstorm.com.
Your clear choice for more, Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Get ready as iHeartRadio teams up with the ultimate countdown king.
It's Rick Dees, and here's this week's number one hit.
iHeartRadio and the Rick Dees Weekly Top 40 with 2 exclusive channels.
Catch this week's biggest hits as we count down to number one.
Listen to this week's biggest songs with Rick Dees and the Weekly Top 40.
Then you can hear all of my legendary countdowns from way back, all commercial free.
It's the soundtrack of your life.
Search me, Rick Dees, on your free iHeartRadio app and listen now.
This hour of the Dan O'Donnell Show is presented by the WISN Vote Early Project. Make your voice heard now. Early voting is open. Contact your municipal clerk for details. Don't wait. Make your voice heard.
Milwaukee Public Schools will be hosting a refugee and immigrant fair coming up on April 5th. The press release just went out, or at least the link went out on MPS's website. Join us for an exciting event to celebrate families, languages, and cultures. Milwaukee Public Schools will host its annual Refugee and Immigrant Resource Fair on Saturday, April 5th for all Milwaukee families. The MPS Refugees and Immigrant Resource Fair will give families access to resources and community organizations in Milwaukee, including healthcare, food access, housing, legal support, language services, and education and literacy options. Families can also enjoy refreshments and music performances, register to win door prizes, and select from gently used clothing and housewares. Join us Saturday, April 5th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at South Division High School. So they're offering legal services and all of this other stuff for, we presume, to be illegal immigrants. But this is not what I'm focused on, that we have yet another organization that gets federal money. And by the way, MPS still has not accounted for all of the federal money that it received in the form of COVID grants. But yeah, okay, they're providing legal services for illegals, presumably helping them avoid capture, avoid detection, avoid deportation. But I'm not going to focus on that right now. It's the literacy services that I am interested in. Literacy services. Literacy. It's at South Division High School, huh? Guess what percentage of South Division High School students are at grade level in English that are literate? 10%. Oh, Paul, you sweet summer child. 3.2%. The literacy rate for English learners for whom English is not the first language is 1.6%. Yeah, I don't think I would go to MPS, especially South Division, to learn English. Even if I am an El Salvadoran gangbanger, Okay, you can go to the literacy fair or the immigrant fair for your legal services. You can get, if you are an El Salvadoran gangbanger and you want to avoid going to that massive mega prison, go to MPS to get your legal services. Do not go there to learn English because they can't teach English to English speakers. In fourth grade, just 9% of all MPS students are at grade level. According to national testing, for all large cities, every large city in the national testing that they just tested a couple of months ago, 26%. So we are lagging behind even other big city failing school districts. Amongst 8th graders, 26%. Large cities have 8th grade proficient or at grade level in English. MPS, 15%. So the kids are learning to read a little bit later, but just 15% of them in 8th grade can read at an 8th grade level. A reminder, by the way, that MPS is a passing school district under Superintendent Jill Underley's new, more lenient state report cards for schools and school districts, with 9% of 4th graders proficient in English. That is a passing school district to Jill Underley. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
From the Lynch Buick GMC of West Bend Total Traffic Center.
Southbound A94 crash after Beloit is gone. Northbound on 43 is going to be heavy from Brown to Keefe with ongoing construction. 94 eastbound tight 76 to 35th. I'm Kevin Henry. That's your latest total traffic.
This report is sponsored by Grand Appliance. Shop the All-American Sale at Grand Appliance for slam dunk savings on select American-made appliances from top brands like KitchenAid, Maytag, and Whirlpool. Learn more at grandappliance.com or your local Grand showroom. That's Grand Appliance. Appliance expert since 1930.
I'm Dan Voss from Cut and Go. Ugly and depressing and trees killed off by emerald ash, oak wilt, and Dutch elm disease are dangerous for friends and loved ones, even a potential liability. Slowly rotting, left-standing hardwood trees can weigh tens of thousands of pounds. Even seemingly smaller branches can weigh tens, even hundreds of pounds. With Cut and Go, there is no reason to risk injury or property damage. Live trees in precarious placement for an arborist to remove over homes, garages, commercial buildings, luxury landscapes are easily and safely laid on the ground by Cut and Go's NCCER crane-operated certified remote control automobile mounted articulating crane grapple saw operators. You can save big money and stock up on firewood by having Cut and Go put your trees on the ground for you to clean up or have a bonfire or split firewood, or we can take it all with us when we leave. A Tons of Trees movement. cutandgotrees.com. That's CUTNGO trees.com. Once again, that's cutandgotrees.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of saving a good deal more when you shop with M-Perks at Meijer. Some delicious blueberries, money saved. A creamy treat of cookie dough ice cream, that's money saved. Savings, savings, savings. Because every dollar spent is also 10 points earned in M-Perks, which you can use to save on your next grocery trip. The more points you earn when you shop, the more you can save. At Meijer, we work hard to help you save a good deal more for a whole lot less. That's bringing more good to life. Exclusions apply. See mperks.com for details.
He's Donald Trump's right-hand man, Elon Musk. And now Musk is trying to buy Brad Schimel a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, because Musk knows when you buy Schimel, he'll do whatever you want. Like when Schimel gave a plea deal to a man caught with child porn, after the man's lawyer gave Schimel thousands of dollars. And Schimel will ban abortion with no exceptions for rape, incest, or the health of the mother. Deeply corrupt and totally extreme. That's the real Brad Schimel. There's a better choice.
I'm Judge Susan Crawford. As a former prosecutor and now as a judge, I've made sure rapists, murderers, and child predators were behind bars.
Protecting your family and your most basic rights. That's Judge Susan Crawford.
And I trust women to make their own healthcare decisions. Brad Schimel doesn't, but I always will.
So on April 1st, vote for Judge Susan Crawford, Supreme Court. Paid for by Susan Crawford for Wisconsin.
Jay Weber here saying spring is here. It's here, and it's a great time to take advantage of $750 off of Comer & Cross's already low price on their premium garage floor process. This isn't an epoxy job. Comer & Cross has a 6-step process that can be done in a single day that will give you a gleaming new showroom quality floor. And it doesn't matter how cracked and stained or pitted your garage floor is now. It can already have a bad paint or epoxy job on it. That's okay. Comer & Cross can still make it brilliant and with a permanent fix. Call and get a quote today. The number is 262-788-6430. Comer & Cross is the gold standard for garage and basement flooring and will immediately transform the space. Best of all, yeah, it can be done in a single day. After Comer & Cross techs move all of the stuff out of your garage for you first, and all of the work is done by certified employees, special trained in the process. It is done right. $750 off right now, an already low price. Call 262-788-6430 or go to comercross.com.
1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men experience domestic or sexual violence in their lifetime. But you can help make a difference. Join the No More Week Challenge, a virtual walk-run to raise awareness and funds to support survivors of abuse. You can complete it anywhere, anytime this March. Whether it's 1 mile or 20, every step you take will help more survivors get access to life-saving resources like counseling, legal aid, and other support services. Sign up today at nomore.org/challenge. Together, let's go the distance for survivors.
Offering the latest information and the greatest analysis. Stay informed all day, every day on News Talk 1130 WISN.
The new episode of the Liberty and LePay podcast is available to listen to right now. Wade and Matt talk with Todd Rosiak of the Journal-Sentinel about college hoops, the start of Major League Baseball, and memories of Bob Uecker. Remember, every episode of the Liberty and LePay podcast is available anytime on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Presented by UW Credit Union. Here for every you.
So I don't have a ton of time, but I can't let this show end without acknowledging an incredible and hilarious gift that I got from a loyal listener, Josh from Janesville, who dropped off a prayer candle that he had made up of St. George the Pious, the patron saint of fentanyl abuse, what I call George Floyd, to poke fun at the fact that liberals deify a guy who clearly died of an enlarged heart and clogged arteries and had a lethal amount of fentanyl in his system. He also dropped off a bottle of Dewar's. He writes, Mr. O'Donnell, in late 2018, I lost my job. It was a scary time, especially since my wife and I had welcomed our firstborn only 3 months ago. God had better plans for us, however. They included taking a part-time job delivering flowers to stores in the Kenosha Racine area from a warehouse in Evansville. It was during that drive, so along with a lot of audiobooks, I started developing a schedule of talk shows. Your 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. show quickly found a home in that schedule. More, it became a highlight of my day. A few years later, I obtained full-time employment and considered myself blessed that the new job allowed me to continue my Dan O'Donnell habit. My wife also started listening, and now we often discuss your show after I get home. Seriously, Josh, that is one of the funniest, best, nicest gifts and notes I have gotten. Both are going on my desk forever. Have a great night, everybody.